Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
We're all locked in now.
Your home for the best sports radio in Utah is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to kick off your afternoon drive with Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Allow me to introduce the best of the best.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. How's it going over there, Ben?
Doing well. Happy Wednesday.
Is that what day it is? Oh, yeah, because
so.
it's a What You Got Wednesday.
It is.
What time are we going to do that today?
Who knows?
Like 4:30? Isn't that where we were going to try and put it?
I think that's what we had floated.
Yeah, we had a guest last Wednesday, so it had to bump. But I think 4:30 is a great fit.
4:30 is great.
We were talking about, how about this for on-air brainstorming? We were talking about best Lakers/Thunder Celtics. I don't think we've ever done that combo.
Thunder Sonics.
Sonics, not Celtics. Sorry, Sonics.
Okay.
And we were debating, as this is why it's a great bit, because it inspires debate. We were debating how many Sonics/Thunder would actually make the list. And I think it would be more, bipartisan's not the word, more from both than you would think.
Okay. At least two. At least two.
Save it for the draft, buddy.
Yeah, right. Is that what we want to do?
Well, I don't know. We're brainstorming.
Okay.
What do you think?
It's fine with me. It works for me. We could just do Sonics Thunder. But no, I'm happy to do Lakers. Mixing the Lakers adds in a more enjoyable element to
There's
it.
been like 6 good Sonics Thunder of all time. So
right.
We can't get to 10
No,
there.
you're probably right. Now that I think about it a little bit.
We'd be down to like Detlef Schrempf,
Yeah.
Who was a fine player, but far from a legend. Michael Cage. Yeah, no. I think Lakers, Sonics/Thunder, and I think the Sonics part makes it more interesting.
Okay.
Didn't they win? They won a title in like the 70s, right?
Very early. Yeah.
We got to take advantage of this because, if Seattle gets their team back, they might get the history back. So we won't be able to combine the Thunder and Sonics in future drafts.
Is that how it's going to work?
I'm just assuming, right? That's what the NHL is going to do with Arizona.
That's not what the NBA did with the Hornets. The Hornets' name went back to the Bobcats, but I don't think they got their history back.
Their history?
Huh.
Did that stay with the Pelicans?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think so.
Well, you might be right. I don't think anyone really cares that much, but yes, the record books, maybe you can't reset that. But Zion has passed Muggsy Bogues for most games played.
The reason that's true with the Mammoth, however, though, is because of the way that it happened. Because we rightfully stole their franchise, and they had to make a hat tip toward the previous Bozo owner, and so they said, well, if it comes back to Phoenix, you get first crack at it, and you get the rights and all this stuff.
Yes.
That was the unique circumstance, not the. Usually the history follows you.
But they lied to him and said, if you get an arena and a new franchise, you get the name and all the history.
And all the history back. And thus the Mammoths basically play it like they're an expansion team.
Yeah.
Even though they're not.
Clearly.
Which to the Mammoths' benefit, by the way, not the expansion team part, but that the Coyotes were glut with young players and picks and all this stuff that they're now taking advantage of.
But, yes, you can shed the, as we were just talking about, the previous losses of draft picks and some of the rules that they had broken and the pretty putrid history as an organization.
But the Pistols 7 is still flying over there at Delta Center, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The Delta Center. What are we doing now? Do I get in trouble?
I think everyone's saying the Delta Center. So
that's back?
Yeah.
This isn't going to be one of those things like where an entire elementary school class is breaking the rules, so you jump in at the last minute and then you're the one getting in trouble?
I don't think so.
No?
But anything's possible.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Sonics would get there. They could get the name back because they don't use the name anymore, but I don't know. Do you get the history back? I don't think so. Like the Lakers have a history in Minneapolis, right?
Yeah, but the Timberwolves don't own that.
But they don't own the history. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I bet the Sonics would get their history back, but I could be totally wrong.
But what does that even mean?
Yeah, who cares? And not to dismiss the topic, but like, is that really what fans care about? You know, in all honesty, is like that part of the history. I don't know if that's generating any interest beyond bring back the cool colors and the cool name, and everyone will be happy.
Well, I mean, how many Seattle fans followed them to Oklahoma City? Probably none. I know I stopped.
Ugly exit.
I know I stopped being any sort of Hornets fan after they left Charlotte.
Yeah, rightfully so.
And then they at least got the name back. But yeah, I still don't think they have their history. No, I think their history is Bob's Cat's history.
Yeah.
But again, what a stupid topic because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And thus, when the NHL gave the Coyotes let their name stay in Phoenix or whatever, was truly an empty concession.
Right.
So, all right, Ben, where do you want to dive into today? NBA playoffs?
Sure.
The Lakers were not competitive, really, as we predicted.
Better than I thought through the first three quarters, and then the Thunder just started turning them over, and that's just a death sentence against Oklahoma City. So, no, LeBron had a really good first game, and then Jared Vanderbilt, I don't know if you saw his injury. It was quite gruesome. Apparently the bone popped out of his finger.
The whole bench scattered like it was a vicious wound.
Which at least it's just a finger, just a pinky. And a dislocation. So as long as he didn't shred anything, probably tape it up and come back.
Oh, there's no way he didn't do muscle damage by the bone came through the skin.
But apparently, the bone poked through the skin.
But it wasn't a compound fracture. It was a
fracture. It was a complete dislocation with a skin break.
I have dislocated a thumb very minorly, and it comes with ligament damage.
Okay.
There's no way he's like, hey.
Then again, it's Jared Vanderbilt. Like his thing is I run around fast. I play really hard. So I'll be curious if he comes back.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and Jared Vanderbilt is not the difference in this series.
What's that line in, what is it, No Country for Old Men? Look at that bone.
Yeah.
The bone is coming through. Look at that bone.
Look at that bone. Yeah, you skipped the word, but.
Look at that bone, man.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
A+.
Not the Coen Brothers' best. Have we ever done...
Coen Brothers? I don't know if they have 10 movies.
I don't know if they have 10 movies, but 10 movies worth selecting. I don't know.
Yeah, probably not.
It could be fun, kind of fun to get into the weeds of the Coen Brothers. How about Coen Brothers, Farrelly Brothers?
The Brothers draft. We can do that.
Because the Farrelly Brothers have 3 or 4.
Okay.
And the Coen Brothers have at least 6.
They're the Sonics of the conversation. Farrelly Brothers might get 2 or 3. Coen Brothers will get the rest.
We'll get most of them.
Yeah. We can do that.
I kind of like that.
Okay.
Like that?
If you're watching on YouTube or KSLSports.com, you saw Ben and I simultaneously whip our heads around and look at Christian.
That's why you got to watch on YouTube. No, the Lakers game was not good last night.
The most interesting thing with the Lakers is happening off the floor, and we can get into that later.
Yeah. But the Pistons snapped a, 12-game one losing streak? Something wild by beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in a game that was really back and forth, and I kind of wondered when it was tied late if the Pistons were going to have anybody to close, and they still found a way to close because you just, man, it's just frustrating to watch still at times. Donovan Mitchell do just bad, weird things late in games.
Trying to be the hero.
It's not turnovers. It's just like, that was kind of a harder shot than I think anyone had to take. Mm-hmm. It's like, I know you've made those. You are a difficult shot maker. You're a tough shot maker. But some hero shots, some lack of setting everybody else up. Other guys clearly not feeling like they're all that involved. His usage rate was not that high in the second half. I think he was like 5th on the team, which again feels like Donovan Mitchell trying to react to the narrative. But at the same point, it's like you've got to know when to pick your spots. And that's kind of where I wonder if Donovan never fully developed, is knowing exactly where he belongs.
You mean by gifting him an offense his rookie year?
Sure.
Led to some overinflated self-worth and entitlement?
Yeah.
Shocking.
He just never quite
has been that good.
He just never evolved.
Not good, but that good.
Yeah, he just never evolved quite into that level of superstar, which is, where that next group of guys. And it's a very hard jump to make, clearly, because the names I would mention are some of the greatest players of all time. But, that's where Dwayne Wade separated himself out from every other shooting guard since Michael Jordan. It's why he was so much better than Vince Carter and why he was so much better than Tracy McGrady. He knew exactly his spots late in the game. And Donovan has not made that jump, and he is trending far more towards the, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Hall of Very Good. I mean, he's going to make the Hall of Fame, Donovan will, but not going to get to that truly elite, like, is this one of the 50 greatest players we've ever seen?
He will tell you he is that. He will tell you he is the team's best player. But at some point, it doesn't cut it anymore when you go, as the team best player, I've got to play better in the fourth quarter. I mean, when's it going to turn around? He's been in the league for a long time now, and the ceiling has been the second round. And I kind of, before the season, for lack of a better choice, picked Cleveland to go to the finals, which makes me laugh because, I don't know, Ben, unless this series is refereed a lot different than Game 1 was, I like the Pistons in this series. I love Jalen Duren. He might be my new favorite tough guy in the NBA.
I like tough guys. I like tough teams.
And I don't love how the Pistons are built. Honestly, they need a little more pop. They could add, I don't know how many points per game, Ben. I don't even think they need a top end guy.
No, they need
a
good 17 point per game guy.
Yeah. They add one of those who's at least serviceable on defense so they don't lose their edge. I mean, they're super good. But if they're able to play like that against Cleveland in this series, the Cavs are in big trouble because I love Jared Allen too, and he looked like a little kid out there.
Yeah, it was very weird to see Evan Mobley pushed around as badly as he was. Evan Mobley was not good, and in the fourth quarter, he had 2 shots. He missed them both. 2 rebounds, was -8, the highest on the floor, or I should say, I guess the lowest technically on the floor. Yeah, he just got pushed around, and they're going to get pushed around. And, we can probably in a few minutes, if we want to, bring this back to a full circle about whether or not the Jazz are tough enough, which is a question I got asked by a Jazz fan the other day, which I think is interesting. As you make the playoffs, are you going to be quite literally physically tough enough to withstand some of these battles? We just watched the Mammoth, I think, really struggle with it against Vegas. Postseason gets physical, and the refs swallow their whistle basically in every sport a little bit more than they would otherwise, and how do you respond? And that's where Detroit, despite, yes, not having maybe that other 17-point-per-game scorer who doesn't give up a lot on the other side of the floor, which probably was supposed to be Jaden Ivey before his latest bout of psychosis, was supposed to be, if they can find him, they probably do become true contenders. I think that's not crazy to say. And they might already make it out of the Eastern Conference, so it's hard to argue that they're not a contender already. But it is clearly where the Cavaliers don't stack up. James Harden, great all-time player. He's got at least 1 MVP. He's changed the way basketball is played, I think, in a lot of ways, with kind of that primary ball handler who racks up triple-doubles. He's not a physical player. He's strong, but he's not going to match up to the physicality of the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell certainly is not. Dean Wade's pretty scrappy. He's a good player, but he's starting at 3 right now, which is bad for them. And then, Evan and Jared Allen are really talented. They're both pretty spindly. They're not Jalen Duren, who might be the strongest player in the NBA today, not named, Steven Adams.
You might have Steven Adams beat, frankly. Well, I think you can get away with players like that. I'm on a roll today.
Like that?
Depending on who's around them. Mm-hmm. Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley couldn't play together.
Right.
James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, I don't think, can play together. And I love this direction of where the NBA is going, by the way. How many one-way offensive players can you play at one time? Because at one point, it was how many non-shooters can you play at one time? And now it's combine that with how many one-way guys can you play at one time? 1?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe 2.
The Pistons have Duncan Robinson in their starting lineup, but he also plays, I think, 16 minutes a night, or, it's not a lot. What did he play?
28.
28. Okay, so he played just under 30. That's a healthy dose of minutes. That's top 7 on the roster, top 6 on the roster. But, they bring Dennis Jenkins off the bench, who a lot of people don't know who Dennis Jenkins is because he was a two-way player earlier this year, if not last year. He's just a tough dude, really plays both ends of the floor and plays hard. Isaiah Stewart is a madman and is really physical as well. They've established that identity. It was really smart.
I think that will be where the Lakers run into trouble, even when their players are back, or if Austin Reeves stays. They'll have. I don't think you can have more than one non-defensive player. You know what? It might be the Nuggets' problem, or part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that maybe that's why Jokic and Murray can't play together, and Jaden McDaniels clowning him in the playoffs aside, that team has never really had great defensive teeth.
Yeah.
So, you astutely talked yesterday about how Klay Thompson could really guard at his peak. You were totally correct, because Steph Curry doesn't guard.
Yeah.
So so maybe the formula nowadays, Ben, is you just cannot have more than one non-defender.
Yeah, I definitely think the league is just built around two-way guard or two-way players. And it's even when, you look at the flaw in this Jazz roster and some of the things they don't do well, and you're weighing young players of who to keep and who to get rid of, and I'm not endorsing one or the other. I'm just saying, there's a real pathway where Cody Williams, who is not as good an offensive player, not in the same realm as Bryce Sensabaugh, makes way more sense as someone to invest in because he does play both ends of the floor. And while he's not great at either right now, he's going to be a much better defensive player than Bryce, assuming he had some weight, and then some value.
What happens when Bryce Sensabaugh is shooting?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean? It means that Lowry Markkanen is
somebody else is not.
Somebody else is not. And he is better at scoring. Well, terrific. Now they have 6 or 7 guys that are scorers.
Mm-hmm.
So Cody Williams, if he's the fact that he doesn't require shots actually benefits him in this scenario.
Yeah.
Because you don't want Cody Williams taking 6 shots, and you don't want somebody coming in off the bench as your 7th or 8th guy taking those kind of shots. That's not their role. But what their role can be is give, I don't know, the other team's best guard, best wing, 10 rough minutes in a row where they really have to work for it. Well, there's a lot of value there.
Yep. It gets really interesting in the draft, and there are a couple, at the top, and those top 4 picks, which is, Darren Peterson. He's a good two-way player, so maybe he doesn't apply to this. I don't think A.J. DeBonsa was a good defensive player at BYU. I know he was not. I'm not sold on him not being a good defensive player. But, Cam Boozer is not going to be a great defensive player in the NBA. He just doesn't move super well. And the other top 4 pick, Caleb Wilson from North Carolina, just moves so fluently well. I won't be surprised if there's a team that says, we know he's not as good a player as Cam Boozer is right now and is never going to be the offensive player, but he could be a Jaren Jackson Jr. type on the other end of the floor, and that's really valuable. And now you look at the NBA and what's winning. It's you got to play both sides. You really have to have an impact for 48 minutes on the court, not each individual player, but your entire game plan can't just be disguising multiple bad defenders. And it's what the Jazz ran into with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. It was just Rudy had to cover up so much, it just became too much for him, and the dam broke.
No, Captain Jack made it a strategy.
It was the strategy.
Do you remember what playoff game was that where somebody was asking Mike Conley why they were so bad on the perimeter? And he said, frankly,
he got very frustrated.
He said, that is the strategy.
The strategy is for us to hand them off to Rudy Gobert.
We are getting beat on purpose.
Why is the rum always gone?
Yeah, he had some when he came up with that strategy. I'll tell you that.
Give me to Rudy.
I got a great idea. No, that's a prime example of where Captain Jack buys into the math too much.
Way too much.
Because he saw the math. Well, when they're going up against Rudy, they score this very little.
30% of the time they score.
Let's let them go, and then they have to deal with Rudy. And that kind of works on its face, I guess, from a logical, Jack Sparrow perspective, where, maybe if I swing off that mast and tightrope walk across but as soon as they find Terrence Mann in the corner, it's
Rudy can't also guard him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not all treasure is silver and gold, mate.
Correct. Not all analytics are silver and gold.
Hey, how come nobody else is picking up on this guy? Hey, Eddie, throw him some breaking balls. Oh.
So everybody has to have some individual value on both sides of the floor now. And, it's going to be the fatal flaw of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep.
There's just no doubt about it. And unfortunately, the further you get, the less room for error there is, and it should be no surprise why Oklahoma City is as good as they are, why Minnesota is remaining, why San Antonio is remaining. all three of those teams are built on guys that play both sides of the floor and are really good on both sides of the floor. And that doesn't mean you can't have a Naz Reid out there who's not an absolutely elite defensive player by any means. He's not.
No.
But Ant really plays hard. And Rudy obviously plays out of his mind. And Jaden McDaniels is an elite defensive player. So those are really valuable. And OKC, Chet plays both sides of the floor. And J-Dub plays both sides of the floor. And Shea's not a great defender, but he plays both sides of the floor. And obviously Alex Caruso and Lou Dort. It's just like, sometimes I still think, and this is what I'll be curious how the Jazz approach the lottery, it's just there are a lot of these guards that are going to be drafted 5 through 8 where the Jazz are more likely than not to be picking that average 20 points a game in college. It's like, wow, that guy can light it up. It's like, but he is the worst defensive player in the draft. Like, at what point do we actually start to weigh that best player has to include defense? It just cannot be a negotiable if you are trying to get to where you think you've gone through this rebuild for, and just taking shortcuts with scorers who only want to play one side of the floor. It's really fool's gold.
Real quick, can I tell you I came up with this last night. Can I tell you my historical comp for Toby Harris?
Okay.
And maybe my historical comp for the Pistons.
All right.
Maybe. I'm curious if you can. Rashard Lewis.
Okay.
A guy skilled, could shoot, do all that, but had a bigger role on a team lacking offense than he probably should, like the Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard.
Even as the third option next to Joel and Jimmy Butler, he was miscast. It's too big of a role for him.
So I think that Magic team, what they had, him, Dwight Howard, who was less
but
of
you're talking about Rashard Lewis. Yes, I apologize.
Who was less of an effective offensive player, Dwight Howard, than you remember. He was Shaq, but smaller. Mm-hmm. He could very, very little skill,
right?
But athletic. But you look up Dwight Howard; he was never a 35-point-a-night guy in the playoffs.
Right,
but Rashard Lewis was super overpaid, so the Magic couldn't have anybody else. So they had him, and then a cast of characters. Remember Hedo Turkoglu and a bunch of randoms.
Who was their guard? They went to St. John's.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
what was his name?
Yeah.
And then took a very under-talented Magic team to the finals, where they lost to the Lakers.
Yes.
Anyway, that's my historical comp. That's what I came up with yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Jameer Nelson, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he is. And Rashard Lewis was miscast as like, man, I just had that roster.
Well, because he was paid way too much.
Yeah. He was tasked with probably being the second leading scorer on that team. Hedo Turkoglu was probably, honestly, the best offensive player on that team. He kind of did the Bojan Bogdanovic thing, but it was also basically their point guard, though Jameer Nelson played that role as well very well. Let me look at points per game here. Yeah, Rashard Lewis was second at 17.7 points per game. That's just way too much for Rashard.
But Toby shouldn't be their second best scorer either, but he is. And I think Detroit could actually get to the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. Could. I'm not here predicting anything, but they could get there.
Yeah, they really could use another guy who's better than Tobias Harris. They so desperately need that.
Yeah, I agree, but they're a bad matchup for anybody in the East. They're a bad matchup for the Knicks too.
Yeah, their defensive strength and quote unquote their ability to turn the water off on you really is devastating, and it frustrates teams. And we saw what it did to the Orlando Magic by Game 7, where they scored 19 total points in the second half. And that's not just a culmination of, or a result, I should say. It's not a result of the Magic just being like, we randomly had the worst half in our franchise's history, and we did it in the biggest game. It's that over 7 games it stacks up. And then finally, at the biggest moment, when the Pistons have kind of figured out what you do, they can completely shut you down.
You think old Rick Brunson's kid wants to go up against Ausar Thompson?
No.
I don't either.
No, for 7 straight games?
No, thanks.
Not even a little
Just
bit.
like Donovan Mitchell doesn't. Good luck.
Yeah. No, the Pistons are fun. They are dynamic, and they are a good representation of how you can go from a bottom team in the NBA to a potential finals contender within a couple of years with some smart additions, a couple of good draft picks, and not even like elite draft picks outside of Cade Cunningham.
Well, let's not pretend like the Pistons weren't down for 15 years.
They were. They were out.
It wasn't in a couple of years.
Correct.
They were down.
But let's say from...
Speaking of Stan Van Gundy signed for free agent? Who was the guy from Oklahoma City who he paid a max deal who was just awful? I shouldn't bring up these things without knowing. But Detroit's been terrible forever.
They've been
So
really
it's
bad.
not like it's been the last couple of years.
No, but once they realized what the direction of the team needed to be and kind of committed to falling to the bottom of the league, so they have 3 number 5 overall picks in a row, and they ended up with Cade, Ivy, who we just mentioned, and Asar Thompson, then they went out and got Paul Reed and Tobias Harris, who we're talking about, and really kind of climbed out of the basement. And if you're wanting to tie this back locally, I think that's exactly what the Jazz are trying to accomplish.
They traded for Blake Griffin.
Yeah, they did. He had one really good year. They made the playoffs. I think they got swept, but they did make the playoffs.
I don't know if I'd call it really good either. Reggie Jackson.
Oh yeah,
5 years, $80 million.
Wow, that's a lot for Reg.
Well, considering the payback on the investment, yeah, I would say so.
Zero return
whatsoever. All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com is coming up next. We're excited to talk to Adam Rittenberg at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. He has got a new piece out ranking the offseason for all, what is it, Christian? All P4 teams.
Okay.
So we can talk about where the Utes and the Cougars landed there with Adam. Top of the 4 o'clock hour. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Can't believe I got paywalled by the Daily Mail. Who apparently has details about Dianna Russini's her relationship currently with her husband. Which I'm dying for the details. You don't have a Daily Mail login?
We'll see if I can figure it out.
Christian?
Before the end of the show.
No, I don't.
You think Salazar would pay for that?
Yeah, we're just throwing money around.
Right.
Hey, boss, can you
we need to know the latest. It's a work thing. All right. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, the NBA lottery is on Sunday. Our own Ben Anderson just put out an article. What are the best and worst case scenarios for the Jazz?
And there's the obvious one. If the Jazz fall to 8, that's worst case scenario. And if they win the lottery, it's best case scenario. And good news for Jazz fans. I know, breaking, hardcore insight.
You didn't launch that one for Hot Take Tuesday?
I know, I didn't save it. The good news for the Jazz fans is they are 5 times more likely to end up with the best case scenario than the worst case scenario. You know, you've got a 10-ish% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick and only a 2-ish% chance of falling to 8. Mm-hmm. And really the ultimate value is that you're holding on to this pick regardless for the Jazz. So, and then it's basically a coin toss if you're going to be top 4, which is where there's real value in this draft, or 5 through 8, which is where I think it falls off not a cliff necessarily, but it's pretty guard heavy, and I think guards in the lottery probably don't provide the most value because I just think big players win.
What do you think they get at 7? Because that's where it's coming up.
And that's the 29 or 27% chances they're going to draft at 7. Yeah, it's probably going to be a guard. Now, I don't think the Jazz, obviously, should feel beholden to taking a guard just because that's what Draft Express says or whatever. If you like a wing...
Yeah, what's that jabroni's name again?
Jonathan Givony. Him quitting ESPN seems like it was a big mistake because you haven't heard about him at all since then.
Whoops.
And he had done a good job building up his name and then got to ESPN and then clearly felt like they were undervaluing him, so he quit. We'll see if he bounces back, but the draft is in a month and I haven't heard him talking hardly at all. It's pretty brutal.
I don't even know his name.
Yeah. So I'm curious what the Jazz will do if they do not land in the top 4. But even then, do you think there's a scenario where the Jazz trade the pick?
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't there be? I think there's always a scenario, but yeah, absolutely. Where they are trying to make the next step or whatever. I remember, Ben, and it wasn't, top 8, but when the Jazz flipped, I think it was 12 for George Hill.
Yeah.
The worst draft show I've ever done. Mm-hmm. Because, we're winding up. What are the Jazz going to do at 12? And then all of a sudden, bam, traded.
Yeah.
Then we talked about George Hill,
of course.
But it turned out to be just what the doctor ordered. That Jazz team did not need another rookie.
At all.
Remember where they were in the process, so to speak, of Gordon Hayward was still there. Rudy had become a guy. Who am I looking for? Who was the Duke shooting guard? Who was Rodney Hood?
Yeah.
Looked like he could be a piece.
Right.
They just needed a veteran, and they needed a point guard.
Yeah.
And Dennis Lindsey had a history with George Hill at San Antonio, on and on and on. They flipped for George Hill, and he was awesome. And I know he only made it a year with the Jazz, but he turned out to be just what the doctor ordered. And really, if it wasn't for him having maybe the world's worst agent, he would have been
one of the faces of the franchise.
One of the faces of the franchise for a while. And people forget he was like a 2010 dude for the first half of that season and was really what that team needed. And so, does this Jazz team need another rookie? Not really. Does that mean they're going to pass on A.J. DiBonsa? No. Not at all. But if it comes down to, well, should I take a tiny guard or should I flip it for some other piece? I would never take that off the table, right?
Yeah, and some of that, again, it's like best case scenario being 1, worst case scenario being 8 isn't exactly the strongest analysis I could offer. It's like, maybe consider trading the pick. It's not groundbreaking.
Well, you're not going to trade the first pick. You're probably not going to trade the second pick.
Right.
In all honesty.
No, for sure.
You're probably not going to trade
keep the pick.
Top 4.
In general, you're more likely to keep it. But there is definitely a world where the Jazz say, and because the truth is, and you've done 20 drafts in your life, and I've done 15 drafts, and I've been to 5 drafts, and all these things. Like, the truth is, the more you watch them, the more you recognize that while there are always great players taken in the teens and always great players taken in the 20s, every draft, whether they say it's the worst draft ever or the best draft ever, once you get to about 8, 9, 10, it's the same almost every year, whether that's Taylor Hendricks or Cody Williams or whoever's going to be at 8, 9 this year, where there's a realistic chance the Jazz could be selecting at 7 or 8. So if that's the case, you don't want to add another player of that caliber who needs 3 years of runway before they improve to become a real guy. You could absolutely hit a grand slam there, no question about it. Mm-hmm. But the odds are generally pretty slim that it's going to happen. So if there was a true, two-way, what do you think the Jazz need the most on this team? Probably a two-way guard. Probably someone to play at shooting guard who...
Well, like a 2 and a 3 are the same position.
Yeah, exactly
nowadays.
Right. A wing.
So a wing, a two-way wing, yeah.
If there was a good, and the Jazz aren't going to trade it for, Chris Dunn. That's not what anyone's saying. They're not trading it for Jalen Suggs, but you're talking about, a really high-level two-way wing that could be a part of the team for 4 or 5 years while Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen are under contract. I think it's probably fair to say that you can't rule that out.
But do you need, here's where I think about it. Do you need Kingston Fleming, or what's his name?
Yeah, Kingston
Flemings. Yeah, from the guard from Houston. Not really?
Yeah, right. Not really.
Not really?
And then he's going to be really in the conversation at 5.
And what did Kristen tell us about the basically 5 through 10? It's guard land.
Yeah, it's all guard land.
It's point guard land.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they feel about Collier. I think we're pretty comfortable with how they feel about Keontae George. I don't know if they need another guard.
Yeah, they might not.
So why wouldn't you consider moving it at that point? Especially in a draft where everybody is sold on it being amazing.
Right.
Maybe it's not amazing for what you need.
Yeah, maybe you sucker somebody. And that's what you got to be on the, that's what you got to be looking
Just whatever they do not flop that pick for Ja Morant.
No.
Do not flop that pick for Ja
No, that'd be
Morant.
that'd be a big mistake. But, yeah, you can skip some of those early years on a player of, are they going to make it or are they going to develop? And, 50-50 chance a guy you get at 8 doesn't turn into anybody ever. It's like you could avoid that outcome if you just feel like the most important thing is adding a guaranteed pick. Now, I will tell you, the fun part of me, or the part of me that thinks is most fun, is taking a swing, hoping a guy turns out, maybe you get a star. That's the most fun part of this. So, the storyteller part of me would say, no, don't make a trade. But again, to your point, the Taurean Prince for George Hill trade, George Hill was a way better player than Taurean Prince. Yeah. I think that was a really good move. Even if Taurean Prince didn't turn in, or George Hill didn't last a long time in Utah, that was absolutely the right trade.
Yeah, it worked out great for the Jazz, even though it only lasted for a year, and he was not as healthy as he could have been. Apparently, he had really, mutant feet. A lot of basketball players have foot problems. Like, have you ever seen pictures of Shaq's feet?
Yeah. LeBron's toes, notoriously.
Just mutant feet. Well, you don't want to talk about mutant feet, Christian?
You're the one talking. I have to sit here and listen.
What's your foot quality? You go regular pedicure guy?
Super average, yeah. No pedicures.
No problems.
No.
Corns?
Nope.
Okay.
Would you be embarrassed to get a pedicure?
No, my wife wants to take me. I'm a little scared, but I'm a little ticklish.
Okay. What's next, Christian?
Injury news for the NBA playoffs. Joel Embiid out tonight for Philly. Ayo Dosunmu available for Minnesota. Anthony Edwards questionable.
But he did go through his normal pre-game routine, and it sounds like he's fine. I would be pretty surprised if Ant doesn't play in this game. But yeah, the big story is Joel Embiid not playing in game 2. It's just like, yeah, that's the problem. And we talked about them beating the Boston Celtics and how good he was late in that series when he came back from the appendectomy. And when he's healthy and when he's on the floor, he is one of the best players of this generation. That when carries a lot of weight, as does Joel Embiid. He just is not healthy very often.
The NBA really didn't do him any favors, though, playing on Monday.
No, they went Saturday, Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
A very quick turnaround.
And I think Embiid played like 40 minutes or something like that on Saturday. I mean, yeah, I agree with the overall. I agree with the overall point you're making. That's the flaw of that dude for sure. But I criticize the NBA a lot for spacing out these games. They didn't space out those at all.
No breathers.
No breathers whatsoever.
Right, especially because we talked about how weird that Monday game was, where they overlapped with each other for 90 minutes. I think they started at halftime of the other game.
Well, and was it the Lakers who finished on Friday and they waited all the way until Tuesday?
Yeah, they didn't have a...
And Oklahoma City has obviously been done for like a week and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bad scheduling by the NBA. I agree with you. Good point on that. And maybe, you could have given Joel a little bit of extra time off, but... he's not out there tonight. Knicks obviously absolutely stomped them in Game 1. I bet you this game's a little bit closer than Game 1 was because I don't expect the Knicks to shoot 63% from the floor and 50% from the three-point line.
Well, they can't pick on Embiid in the pick and roll. So
that's true.
Help.
And he's just like that was a bizarre outcome for the Knicks. That was also some shooting luck.
Doesn't this mean that my guy Drummond is going to get a bunch of run?
Andre Drummond probably going to get some more burn here. But
yes,
I don't necessarily or really don't want to hear.
Bona's going to be on the floor more.
I like it, damn Bona. I don't need to hear the narrative of, oh, look, the 76ers are better without Joel. Like, they're drawing dead without Joel.
Oh, if they play well, that's all you're going to hear?
Yeah.
You know what I like about this series, though? It's already turning dirty. Well, Embiid, after the last game, said the Knicks are dirty and he's going to have to go out and play that way.
Okay.
And then everybody was talking about how he broke Mitchell Robinson's ankle in two. What was that? Was that last year or 2 years ago? With a dirty play?
Yeah, it must have been. Probably wasn't last year. Maybe it was.
So I kind of like it that both teams are out for blood.
Yeah, I like teams that don't like each other. That's more fun to watch, certainly. I hope this series is long. The Knicks, again, are not really designed to do what they did in Game 1 for 4 straight games. I don't have a lot of faith that that's who they actually are.
Well, we forget that they had lost how many games to the Hawks?
Yeah, went to 6.
Yeah.
So, no, absolutely. They are going to blow some games. They have some games where they just no-show.
And I don't think the Hawks are changing the world anytime soon.
And a reminder that Joel didn't play for the first half of the first-round series against the Celtics, and Philly did win that series because they have a really dynamite backcourt with Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. So they still will have a puncher's chance to keep this game close. And then the other game tonight, as we mentioned, Game 2 between the Spurs and the Timberwolves, which is clearly the best series going.
What's next?
Number 3, Ted Turner passed away today, age 87.
We debated putting this in here, but this is truly a sports story. He was the owner of the Braves. He revolutionized sports media in a couple of ways we can talk about, but he did own the Braves during the heyday of the Braves, and I realize they've won a World Series since. But you're talking Glavine and Smoltz and Maddox. Who was the crazy guy coming out of the bullpen? Your guy, John Rocker?
Yeah, big rocker guy.
That might be the best pitching staff
probably ever. Chipper Jones.
But then, yeah, you're looking at Ron Gant and Chipper Jones and these teams that were really good and actually almost went down as the Buffalo Bills of baseball because you remember they kept making the World Series and they kept losing, and then they finally got a win over. Man, who was it, Ben? Do you remember who they beat? I want to say it was the Indians, but I could be wrong about that.
He also owned the Atlanta Hawks. He owned the Atlanta Thrashers for a little while. So, yeah, one of the most meaningful faces in sports ownership in the 90s and early 2000s there. And more importantly, I think, than even all of that, though, I think if you were to do a general poll of 10 people, you would get at least one would say the Atlanta Braves of who their favorite Major League Baseball favorite team is. Even though there's really no reason for that to be the case other than they were on TV a bunch. They were on TBS, which is the Turner Broadcasting System, named after Ted. And he revolutionized how sports are broadcast, and how you can view them and who gets viewed. And, there's even a joke about The Simpsons about getting illegal cable. And Homer, I think, climbs up the pole and cuts the cord. And Bart is arguing with him and saying, don't do it. How are we going to watch the Atlanta Braves? Like, it was a part of the cable experience early in the iteration of the 70s and 80s, and Ted Turner really revolutionized that, and it's still how we watch sports.
Really, I picture the Braves on TBS in the 90s.
Yeah, certainly the 90s.
I wonder when he started that. But it did inspire just obnoxious front-running Braves fans everywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, half the sports fans in my class at school would wear Braves crap.
Yeah, they were really easy to root for because they won a lot.
They did.
Yes, their rotation was 3 Cy Young winners.
It's nice.
Pretty good.
It's nice. Makes you look good. Sure does. And then Deion Sanders came and played for him, and they had this cool factor to him. And yeah, he was an innovative guy for sure.
He's an interesting guy, and I read about him a lot this morning. Obviously, when some of the memoriams or obits or whatever you want to call them, but lost 80% of his net worth in the early 2000s because he teamed with AOL and put all of his stock there, and AOL just absolutely crashed, and he rebuilt himself. He just kind of he hit a lot. He got lucky on some real smart things. He inherited a billboard business from his dad, turned it into an advertising business, bought a TV station in Atlanta, and then turned into everything. Truly one of the more important, ultra-wealthy people of our lifetime.
Married your hero, Jane Fonda.
Had 5 kids.
Did they have 5 kids?
I think with Jane. He has 5 kids at the very least. At least some of them are with Jane. She said he was very difficult, though apparently quite well liked. No filter. Didn't know how to not say awkward things to people.
Well, yeah, when you're above it all, you're going to say whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah.
If I get that kind of scratch, look out.
Watch out. Every day's Hot Take Tuesday.
Yeah. All over town. What are you going to do about it? Nothing.
But also a great philanthropist and interesting.
Best thing he did was hire James Earl Jones.
Okay.
This is CNN. It's iconic.
Invented CNN. Created CNN.
You need a voice to be the voice of your, I don't know, not the network, but of your tagline.
Which I might argue ruined the media. CNN.
James Earl Jones?
No, CNN. That's not a hot-leaning political take. 24-hour news probably being turning the news into an entertainment destination, not very good, in my opinion.
Honestly, if you want to talk, you have a media discussion, I think it was actually 60 Minutes that ruined the news.
Okay.
And here's why. No offense to 60 Minutes, but it was the first news program to really ever make any money.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the news industry said,
oh, this is a for-profit business.
Oh, wait, we can make money off this thing? Well, look out!
Yeah.
And then now I would argue in the 80s, CNN was actually news. Early 90s, you think of Desert Storm and all that stuff, where, what's the guy's name? Not Coyote. What's his name?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wolf?
Wolf Blitzer?
Yeah, that one. Really cut his teeth, made it, that it actually was. That's why the airport has CNN, because it actually used to be news. And I don't know what. I don't watch cable news at all. That does not cross my. So I don't know what they are now, but they did actually used to be news. But 60 Minutes was really the first news show where they made a big time profit off of it.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, Rupert Murdoch thought, I can make money off this news thing.
Those two did not like each other.
Ted Turner and Rupert Murdoch?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, brutal.
Just like who were the train barons back in the day? Rockefeller? No.
Yeah.
Was he a train guy?
Isn't that where he got his money from?
That sounds
right. Or was
right.
that just investing? I think it was also trains. But yeah.
Who was the Rio Grande guy? Have you ever looked into those stories about track going through the Old West and it was literally murderous mobs like conquering territory?
Some great Utah history there.
Great Utah history.
Yeah. Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah, the Vanderbilts. Yeah. Which is, speaking of CNN, what's his name's Gloria Vanderbilt's kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anderson Cooper?
Mm-hmm.
Wonder how he got his start.
Yeah, right.
He used to be on Channel 1.
I never watched Channel 1. They didn't do that at my school.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
At Highland?
Mm-hmm. We did HTBS. We had our own.
Well, of course you have your own.
No, we didn't do
have
Channel 1.
Channel 1 additionally?
Christian, you guys watch Channel 1? Do you know what that is?
No idea what that is, no.
It was a news station for schools that would talk about kid stuff.
They'd force you to watch it.
Yeah.
No, dude, they were sending Anderson Cooper into war zones. It wasn't just kids stuff.
Yeah,
it was
okay.
like
Yeah.
It was like Anderson Cooper goes to the Middle East.
He and Wolf Blitzer.
Well, that's just what was happening at the time.
Yeah.
He was throwing himself in it. I give him a lot of credit. Downtown Beirut. This is Anderson Cooper for Channel 1. Nobody thought, is this worth it? We're forcing millions of kids to watch a news broadcast. I don't think we need to send Anderson Cooper into downtown Beirut. I don't think that's necessary.
You paid attention?
Stay tuned. More Jacob Ben next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben, we're taking the show on the road coming up on Friday. 511 Tactical. Don't show up to Supercross. Be part of the weekend. 511 is hosting a free event with custom Jeeps, a great crowd, and more. Friday with us from 2 to 6 at the Salt Lake Store, 369 West, 1830 South.
Have you ever been? We couldn't go next Monday because that would be the date, 5/11.
Oh.
That would make total sense.
Have you done the Supercross thing?
I've not, no.
I've gone to the Supercross race, and I'm not even a gearhead. Super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Super
those guys
fun.
are amazing.
Yeah,
and
it's way
seeing
cool.
those things in person with the speed is unreal.
And the Supercross crowd, cool people.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for this remote. I'm excited to.
I don't
go
know
over
if
there.
they're Android or Apple people, but
Maybe they're outdoors
walkie-talkie.
people. Yeah, they probably are. They're Motorola.
They're two ways.
Yeah.
Ben, usually it's me who's been firmly manning the Dianna Russini desk for the show. But you're dropping in with a I guess we could co-byline this
the
one.
Russini beat.
Yeah.
Well, you said that her husband had some comments in the Daily Mail. Yeah. At least some reports about how her husband is feeling. Uh-huh. And I didn't get the Daily Mail access because Lloyd said he wouldn't spring for the subscription. But I did find it aggregated, which
is nice.
Thank goodness for the internet. So this comes from The Spun.
Now, this is the investigative journalism that the Jake and Ben show listener has come to demand.
Yeah. what you should expect.
The Jake and Ben show absorber demands this kind of investigative journalism.
If you're new absorbing the show, this is what will be offered
All right.
towards you. Her husband has felt sidelined. This is from thespun.com. Her husband has felt sidelined for a long time. And this controversy might be what finally pushes things to a breaking point, a source told the Daily Mail. Russini's husband would still like for things to work out, however.
Yikes.
At the same time, he's dealing with the embarrassment. He still cares about her and would want to find some of the ways to fix things if he can. However, and this is by far the highlight of the story, quote, the emasculation has taken a toll. A toll, though. It says, the emasculation has taken a toll, though.
Have you ever seen the Bob Duvall movie, Give 'Em Something to Talk About?
I haven't.
No. You know the premise?
Based on a Bonnie Raitt song?
First of all, I love that tune. But no, it's Julia Roberts and Dennis Quaid are married.
Okay.
Dennis Quaid carries on an affair that everybody knows about but Julia Roberts. And then she discovers the affair and leaves him, and that's what the movie is really all about. But there's this scene where she walks into her church, and she's really mad at everybody because nobody
told her.
And the humiliation of everybody knowing about it was not great.
Sure.
The whole world knows about this.
Yeah.
It's that scene walking into the church times a billion? How many people are aware of the Mike Vrabel, Dianna Russini affair?
It's not the small town Protestants. It's all of the sports world and then has passed beyond that.
Internationally, I'm sure. I mean, the Daily Mail is a British publication, is it not, Ben?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's one of their tabloids.
Anyways.
I don't get this hoping to tape it back together. Are you?
A British daily middle market tabloid. No, exactly right.
Finally, what was the word in there? Finally is thinking maybe the marriage will end.
Finally pushes things to the breaking point.
Finally? I don't agree with that take. I don't think this guy has a breaking point. I think this guy's going to hang on to this marriage as long as he possibly
Just lay
can.
down?
I don't know why. If this wouldn't push you out of a relationship, what would?
We did joke about this, with all due respect to Mr. Russini, that it is really hard to get cheated on and have the guy you got cheated on look like Mike Vrabel, who, barring you being like a former Marine, like he's just going to be bigger than you are. He's just
richer and more famous.
Richer and more famous than you are. Has, a lot of attention on him all the time. People generally seem to like him, though that narrative is changing a little bit. That's really tough to come back from. Even if you are a C-suite executive in the, what did we decide, Shake Shack
is that what
organization? I think that's where he comes from. Hard to be like, yeah, but you will never be Mike Vrabel.
You know what I'd tell him? What I'd give him the advice I'd just tell him. Be like, listen, some gal out there is going to feel bad for you. There's another fish in the sea, pal. There's someone out there that's going to go, oh, poor baby, and take great care of you.
He doesn't even need that. Again, we're talking about a
Shake Shack.
Well, even
exec.
Russini has said this, Mrs. Russini, Dianna, in a somewhat insulting fashion, but she was talking about the beginning of their relationship and why she liked him. And what did she say? Do you remember this quote famously? He's got a fat wallet. She said that. So look, man,
rough.
You can find somebody if all they want is a fat wallet. Because you apparently have one, according to Dianna.
Yeah, last
now,
time I was
you
in the
may not have a fat wallet and be Mike Vrabel, head coach of the New England Patriots, but you're doing better than most people.
Sure.
Myself included.
All right.
I look like nothing compared to the
there's
Shake
the
Shack
update.
guy.
I can't believe they're still married.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a follow-up.
I'm hoping for a Dianna tell-all interview. That's got to be coming, right?
Yeah.
What
do we call it?
Save the day interview.
The breaking point. I thought that was a good line.
Yeah. Okay.
The breaking point.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll be all over it when it happens.
Yeah. Our
you will be the first to know.
CBS Morning News conversation with Dianna Russini. Do NBC though.
Why? Which one's Robin Roberts on? That's where I'd go.
Well, we're NBC. Robin Roberts is on. She's on NBC.
All right.
Yeah.
Robin is doing a nice job.
Good touch.
Get to the bottom of it, though. Got to find out. All right, stay tuned. We're going to talk some more NBA coming up. Donovan Mitchell
Always in the news.
Had some very interesting comments after the game. We'll let you hear them next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Just doing it big, you know.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, kslsports.com/contest, and listen every Thursday to our show. Jake and Ben, for the winner is the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Ben, the Cavs came up short last night against the Detroit Pistons. Donovan Mitchell, familiar around here, not a great game. Did lead his team in scoring with 23 points, but he was 9 of 19 from the field. He was 4 of 10 from 3, only went to the line 2 times, which is relevant. He was a -7 on the night as Cleveland came up short, and Donovan did not play well in the fourth quarter in particular.
And traditionally has not.
No, it's not his thing. But he did take to the microphones after the game and gave us a great soundbite. Are you ready? Let's go for it.
The free throw disparity is not why we lost tonight. I want to make sure I say that, but I don't know. I'm trying to get downhill, and a friend of mine got fined for talking about flop, so I'm not going to try to double down, but I mean, like, I feel like that's what I got to do at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get downhill, trying to get to the bucket, and sometimes people are in my way, and I'm trying to fight through contact, and I'm not getting these calls. You said I had, like 13 in the last series, like 16? I mean, I'm just not getting the calls. I don't know why. I don't flop. Maybe that's why. And this isn't just a tonight thing. This has been the entire series, and it's frustrating a little bit, but because I'm such a dynamic driver, but I can't control that. So if I'm not going to call for me, I got to find a way to finish through that. But you know me, I'm never one to sit here and complain, and that's not why we lost the game tonight or whatever. But at some point in time, I feel like me getting to the basket's got to relate to something. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
This is Janis Joplin.
Oh, I love Janis. Crying about the officials is
song's called "Cry Baby," by the way,
becoming a thing. Dynamic driver, is that what he said?
Yeah,
I'm such a dynamic driver.
He did. He did applaud himself for how good he is. Look, this is what I love about what the Pistons are doing. You get really physical. The refs aren't going to call everything. That's been a strategy for a very long time.
That was Jerry Sloan's
thing. Was it Nolan Richardson? Who was it? Who did 48 minutes of hell or 40 minutes
Arkansas?
of hell? Yeah.
Well, Jerry's whole thing was, he led the league in fouls every year. The Jazz led the league in fouls because he said you can't call everything.
Yeah. Nolan Richardson, yeah. So they've done that, and clearly the Cavaliers don't know how to adjust, and Donovan Mitchell doesn't know how to adjust, and that is the value of having guys who are 6'6" versus 6'2" or 6'3", whatever Donovan's official measurement is, and. Yeah, again, everyone's trying to get the refs to blow the whistle more for them, and Donovan will probably get a couple more whistles after this. He didn't complain about the officials necessarily, but he just said, I'm used to getting calls. I didn't get the calls, and I'm really good at driving, so why is it not happening? It may generate a few more whistles. It is not going to change the outcome of the series.
You mean like Mark Harlan in his press conference didn't change how the Big 12 officiated their football games?
Correct. The Utes still got some PI calls the next year.
I don't think that this will have any effect on the officials other than maybe they'll call fewer.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I'd do.
Yeah.
No, but
I take it to heart.
I think a lot of it is deflection, in all honesty. Because Tim was telling me, and I didn't get a chance to hear it, he was giving a breakdown about how Donovan's wrong. And maybe he is, maybe he's not. I honestly don't care. I just wonder why. What purpose does it serve? And in my opinion, I think Donovan feels the pressure, maybe for the first time in his career. Where Cleveland, we've already seen the rumors, right, Ben? We've already seen that, well, if they don't go anywhere, they're going to get rid of Donovan. Donovan, at some point, has to prove that he's the player he tells everybody he is.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess there's a ton of pressure on that guy to live up to whatever the spida is. And whatever the narrative has been created around him. He's always wanted to be the shoe guy and the star and I'm the team's best player. Well, at some point, the rubber has to meet the road. And I wonder, let me put it, remember when he said, we will never go out in the playoffs like that again. After they lost to who did they lose to? It was his second playoff run when they lost to Houston, maybe. And it was this kind of entitled take, but what you would think is the right thing to say. And it was almost naive in a way. And he's never gotten past the second round in the playoffs. Right. And at some point, if you were an all-NBA player and the team's best player and a dynamic driver and all this, at some point you have to deliver. And I bet he's feeling the pressure of not delivering. And so what do? You go out and complain about the officials, make excuses. And I do find it hilarious when somebody talks for minutes about making excuses and says, oh, not to make excuses. Okay. All right. I don't buy it from Jaylen Brown either. And by the way, you can rub the free throw attempt numbers and offensive foul numbers and in everybody's face, and you're still crying about officials. You're still not good enough to get it done.
The problem is, and Donovan's right, is that he is the best player on the team. And when you say that after your second year or your third year, you do set yourself up for the idea that, oh, well, that means inevitably we're going to get to the third round, or, we're going to get to the finals and I'm going to be the best player on that team. And that really says how great I am. I'm laying out right now what I expect for myself and building out this legacy for myself. Yes, the problem is if over and over, and we've seen this with a lot of players historically, and I'll bring up a couple of comps here in a moment, when you say you're the best player on the team and then you can only get to the second round of the playoffs, that ends up becoming a negative for your legacy. Most notably, T-Mac was the guy who never could get to the conference finals. Remember the Jazz beat him when he was a member of the Rockets. He never got there as a member of the Orlando Magic.
Or the Raptors.
Or the Raptors, and he was knocked for that. Chris Paul was really knocked for it until Chris Paul finally broke through and got to the conference finals, and finally the finals with the Suns. But Chris Paul was always viewed as maybe not a playoff choker, but for whatever reason his teams didn't win, and that became his reputation, not a why is the team around him not playing better. He keeps telling us he's the best player on the team, and they don't get anywhere. What's wrong there? So that's where Donovan is finding himself. So yeah, I bet you there was immense pressure when he had a team built around him in Utah, and then a team traded for him in Cleveland and retooled around him again, and now they've gone out and gotten James Harden, which, as we said, is kind of the ultimate desperation rebuilding sign, because James Harden is seemingly always available 6 months after he lands in his new town. And the team that takes him, it's not quite the old maid that we talked about with Bradley Beal last year, but clearly teams are happy to move off of him, and they don't seem to be brutalized for doing it. So
yeah, I don't think that's why the Clippers moved off him, but I get your point. I think he twisted arms to get
yeah,
out
absolutely.
of town.
Yes, he wanted to get out of town as well, but they were also going to lose, and he wasn't changing that all that much. So now Donovan has earned the reputation as the best player. He's told everyone he's the best player. He's told everyone he expects to go further. And when they don't go further, now it's on his shoulders. So I get why he's stressed about it. And I don't, crying about it, I don't know, but is going to the only other logical place he can go to is, well, I must not be getting either a fair whistle or enough of an opportunity to get to the foul line because I can't compete the way I want to. Well, the problem is you. And that doesn't mean you're a bad player. It's not. But again, as we talked about to open the show, there is a thin but important line between the Dwayne Wades of the world and the Donovan Mitchell of the world. And it's a big gap.
Donovan Mitchell should start playing like Mike Conley and buy into the third or fourth best player on the team role. That's how he gets to a championship, I would say. He's not the 1A on a championship. He's just not. I mean, you can blame it on his height all you want, but it is true.
I remember when he got traded to the Cavs, thinking to myself immediately, looking at what the Jazz were getting back and looking at what the Cavs were getting, and thinking, wow, they're really betting on Evan Mobley to become a superstar. Because the Jazz learned the flaw of having Donovan Mitchell as your best player. That's why Danny Ainge traded Donovan Mitchell. That's why Justin Zanuck traded Donovan Mitchell. They recognized this guy is, if not the best player on the team, maybe you would argue Rudy Gobert was, but is the face of the team, holds the keys to the franchise, and as long as that's the case, you just have a low ceiling. It's a good ceiling. Making the playoffs is cool, but I think Ryan Smith wants to win a title. I think Danny Ainge wants to win a title. I know Justin Zanuck wants to win a title, and now I know Austin Ainge wants to win a title. And they haven't told me this, but I think it's clear by their actions that they didn't believe you could with Donovan Mitchell as your guy.
Donovan Mitchell as a max guy.
Yes.
Because the problem is he's paid like the number one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if Donovan Mitchell is your third best player.
Right.
and you have a way to get 2 players better than he is, keep him. The Jazz didn't have a way to get the lottery picks they needed to get a player better than Donovan Mitchell, or the trade assets required to get a player better than Donovan Mitchell. And the Cavaliers thought they had one in Evan Mobley. They thought Evan Mobley was going to be on this trajectory as a nearly 7-foot two-way player, that he could become Anthony Davis or whoever you want, Kevin Garnett, whoever they thought he was going to turn into. And then Donovan rightfully slots into 1B or 2 or whatever you want to call his position on the team. And then you've got a real championship roster. And Evan Mobley never turned into that, so that gamble failed. And then the question has to be, why did he not turn into that? And I'm not trying to blame Donovan for everything by any means, but did Donovan being there mean that he didn't have the runway needed to develop into that type of player? Was Evan Mobley never going to become that type of player? I don't know. But that's the flaw with their team. That's why they are capped at the exact same spot the Jazz are capped. And I don't think they regret making the Donovan Mitchell trade.
But you're saying Donovan wouldn't let Rudy be the best player on the team.
Correct.
So you think he's going to let Evan Mobley be the best player on the team? I don't know.
No,
but
right. No, that's what I was alluding to, and I probably could have been more specific. But yes, you could have thought Rudy Gobert was the best player on the team. It didn't matter as long as Donovan was here. Donovan was going to be the best player on the team.
He was going to be the one telling you that he was the best player on the team, and like you said, the face.
And when
is he going to go to Cleveland and say, "Oh, this is Evan Mobley's back"? I doubt it.
I'm a backseat guy.
No, I don't think so.
No, he's never done that.
No.
So
and then chased out Darius Garland and re-signed a max deal. So you got to put up or shut up. Not only is he a one-time max player, they re-upped him.
Yeah, and again, excellent player. Probably not a legit number 1 on a championship team, and that's where you get, to being a top 10 player in the NBA, top 5 player in the NBA. And again, it's a thin line between the 12th and the 15th and the top 5. It's not as big as I think a lot of people would indicate, but the results do bear out on the floor.
Also, if you're a top guy, you can't get taken out of a series by a good defender, which has happened to Donovan Mitchell repeatedly in the playoffs, and it's going to happen again with Osar Thompson.
Yeah, and, it's one win. They were close in this game. There were some flaws that they can obviously clean up. James Harden had 7 turnovers here, so they can get through. But I just don't think they're a finals team. And this year was a particularly wide open year for the East. When we said last year, I thought was going to be the season that Donovan Mitchell really rued not getting to the finals. Because
no, it's this year.
This year more somehow than last year.
Yep.
And he couldn't take advantage of it last year. They lose the opening 2 games of the series against the Pacers. I don't think they got swept, but man, that was not a long series. The Pacers go to the finals, so it should have been that Donovan Mitchell team after winning 63 games or whatever it was in the regular season. This year they took a little bit of a step backwards, but they're more seasoned. You would think they would have a chance to get back there. And again, while there are pathways for them to win this series, and then they could beat either Philly or New York, whoever gets out of that next series, I do think some of their fatal flaws are indeed that. They're too fatal to advance all that far.
We're going to talk some college football at the top of the 4 o'clock hour with Adam Rittenberg. He's evaluated off seasons for the P5 college football teams. So we'll talk to him about conclusions that he came to coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. What you got Wednesday at 4:30. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Ben, we can both agree, I think, that the Lakers are going to lose this series against Oklahoma City. Would you guess that even the Laker players believe that they're going to beat Oklahoma City?
No, I don't think they believe that.
I don't either. So that begs the question, who's going to get the blame?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The Lakers, LeBron used to winning. Somebody's going to get the blame for them getting ragdolled by Oklahoma City. Now, Luka's hamstring has been controversial, Ben. and he's been out. It was a grade 2 hamstring, which you're looking at a month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah.
And so you and I wondered why he went back to Europe.
Rub some beer on it.
That's what we kind of thought.
Mm-hmm.
Although we thought he went to Slovenia. He did not. He went to Spain.
See, even better. He didn't go home, but you've got a little vacation time in.
They've got vodka in Spain.
Whatever, you can find whatever you want. Sure.
I think he's got a house there. Well, let's play the clip. So I've got a couple of clips for you as we digest this situation, Ben. First, your favorite reporter, Brian Windhorst.
Okay.
He went on ESPN and he talked about Luka and his hamstring recovery and going overseas. Let's go ahead and play that.
I'm a big actions over words guy.
Yes, you are.
When Luka got hurt, they sent Luka went to Spain for treatment. Have you ever heard of someone? I mean, I've heard of going to Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard of going to Spain. Now, Luka also has a newborn who is in Slovenia, and so I certainly think if he had an opportunity to go and get some time off, go to Slovenia and see your newborn child. He lives in Madrid in the off season, And I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying, when they sent him overseas, that was not an indication of a minor hamstring injury.
Right.
That was you're not going to be doing anything for a few weeks anyway, so
take some time.
Go ahead and go to Europe because you came back 48 hours after your child was born in the middle of the season. Go to Europe. And as soon as that happened, I was like, this does not sound like a small hamstring injury. And so that is unfortunately what it looks like.
So Windhorst, at the beginning there, what you does not translate through the audio is when he says treatment, he gives the sarcastic look on the face, Ben, and then does the quotes.
Yeah.
Treatment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Treatment. Implying that there was no treatment, that he was just getting out of town.
Yeah.
And even threw in a casual blast that he didn't go to see his kid.
Yeah, he had that ugly divorce during the season, right?
I don't think they were married.
Okay. Breakup.
I think they just broke up. So anyway, there's Brian Windhorst on ESPN. Now, Luka was asked about going overseas to Spain. This was after the Windhorst thing, and Luka had a availability earlier today. Let's hear from that.
Yeah, I went to Spain to do PRP, and it's obviously, I think everybody knows that's in this, that it's one of the best countries to do that, and obviously, we talked with the Lakers doctors, so everybody agreed for me to go there. Obviously, I know and trust lots of people from Spain that I used to work before, but why I was in Spain so long is because I needed 4 days in between every shot, so I did it 4 times, so that's why I stayed longer.
What do they say as far as being able to hopefully expedite your recovery after getting the PRP?
What means expedition?
Sooner, going that faster, speed it up.
Oh, I'm just in the process. I'm working every day. I feel better every day. Like I said, in the beginning they say weeks, so we'll just go from there.
So Luka responds and says, everybody knows, Ben, that when you're looking for the world's best PRP treatments, where do you go?
Beautiful Spain.
Apparently Windy didn't know that.
Here's my problem with all of it. Windy has taken some shots at... I don't even want to say he's taken some shots at Luka. I do think Windy has reported accurately about Luka in the past, not trying hard enough or what some of his flaws are. And obviously he's very well connected through, A, his own sources, but B, he does his podcast with Tim McMahon, who covered Luka from his inception in Dallas, not inception, but his first season in Dallas to getting traded to the Lakers. Tim McMahon wrote a book on Luka. So there is a lot of, I think, inside behind-the-scenes knowledge there on Luka's effort. The other thing is, you remember the reason why Nico Harrison hated Luka is because they said, Luka, it's December, maybe it was January. Take 2 weeks off. Please lose some weight. Please shed a few pounds and come back healthy. And you remember Luka left and came back and had put on weight?
I do.
One of the great storylines in the NBA over the last 3 years. I think it's fully fair to when Luka says, I'm leaving town to take care of myself, for everyone to be skeptical of whether or not he's actually getting real treatment.
I will get to Windy's biases in a second. I have no reason to doubt Luka actually has a hamstring injury.
Of course, no, I believe he has a hamstring injury. Absolutely.
But have you noticed all of a sudden Out there in the TalkSnap world, there's people grumpy about Luka not playing. Enter professional wrestler Ric Flair, who throws out a tweet.
Most importantly, Ric
saying,
Flair.
Obviously, they're not going to trade Luka. He's their future. He's their franchise. But do the math. He averages 33 points a game. If he has 20, LeBron has 27, and the rest of the team, they win. I would have said the same thing about Jason Tatum on the Celtics, but I'm not a Boston fan. For $46 million a year, I think you can play. Everyone is allowed to have their own opinion, and this is mine. He's not the only one. I heard a famous L.A. Line up the first one, Christian. I heard a prominent L.A. sports radio host that was calling out, saying Jason Tatum can play. Wemby's playing through concussion. Anthony Edwards is playing with a bone contusion. He even mentioned Donovan Mitchell's playing with an ankle. Where are you, Luka? There's a groundswell, Ben, of calling Luka out for not coming back and being hurt, or not toughing it out.
Yeah.
So now, I will remind you who was Brian Windhorst's elementary school teacher.
Who was it?
Gloria James.
LeBron's mom.
Who has Brian Windhorst gotten every single story that he has ever published or ever broken in his entire career? Where has it come from?
Generally the LeBron James camp, or it's regarding LeBron.
So now the windbag is going out calling out Luka for treatment.
Yeah.
Is that any coincidence? Now let's fast forward to LeBron after the game last night. Christian?
Where do you think the offensive issues are coming from right now? Obviously, that's a great defense.
Issues coming from?
Yeah.
We have a guy that averaged 37 a game. What did he average, 35 this year? 33 and a half?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you asking?
Okay, well, I'm asking, you guys...
There's the issues right there. We're playing against the number one defensive team in the NBA, as far as the ratings and everything. And when you play against great defense, you have to have guys that can attract multiple defenders on the floor at all time. Even I felt like we had great shots. We got some great shots tonight. We missed them. But when you play against the world champions, having a guy that averages 34, 6 and 8 and 8 and 9, whatever the hell that's special. So we have to be better at finding ways to get to the blender, finding ways to get to the paint. We know they're a paint swarming team, so we have to be better with getting to the paint, not turn the ball over, and then shooting with confidence. But I feel like we got some really good looks.
Translation, Ben. If Luka wasn't such a softie, we'd be winning this thing.
And that's not what LeBron said.
That's what he meant.
But I do think it is fair when you start looking around a little bit at all the narratives. Even if you're not blaming somebody, you are shifting the narrative onto something. And again, we said this yesterday, the line between excuse and reason are very thin. The excuse, and look, the truth is they weren't going to beat the Thunder with Luka. I'm not sure the series changes at all, in all honesty. They might get swept even with Luka because the Thunder are that much better than the Lakers. But yes, even if you're not blaming Luka in this situation, you build a narrative that basically says, well, the reason we lost is because Luka wasn't here. Now, LeBron didn't say, I don't think he's trying hard enough to come back to rehab, or he's not around the team enough. But LeBron and his camp, Adele and Clutch and everybody, has always done a very good job of creating a narrative that does seem to lend itself to one conclusion.
Okay, if you want to put it nicer than I do, who are you not blaming?
Yourself.
Who are you not blaming? Not LeBron.
Yeah,
who are you not blaming?
LeBron.
In that last whole thing,
correct.
You're not blaming LeBron for 1 second.
Right.
In fact, you're hedging a little the other way and saying, well, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Luka's not there. You heard LeBron. He scores 33 points a game. How could they possibly go on? You're not blaming LeBron.
Correct.
Another way to put it, why the Lakers lost, Ben, LeBron's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's not good enough to carry a team anymore.
Yeah.
That's not what anybody is saying. That's not what anybody in LA is saying. They're saying, oh, they'd be creaming Oklahoma City if Luka were there. If not, the other side of it going, Where are you, Luka, you softy? It's shifting the blame. I still believe in this internal rivalry in the Lakers. It's not all hunky-dory, and there's no way LeBron loves being the second fiddle, let alone a second fiddle that's going to go down in flames.
No, and one of the narratives that, whether it's being said now or not, whether or not it's being said, that is going to be something we hear a lot, because you've brought this up. LeBron winning only one title in the bubble has covered up a lot of the letdown that has happened since he moved to Los Angeles.
He's been there 10 years.
Right. He's been there that long. He moved there still, I think, in his prime. Maybe if you want to say the latter half of his prime, but the prime nonetheless. He was still the best player in the NBA, I think, when he went to L.A., and that didn't change until, Jokic came over and probably stole that title. But they haven't really achieved a whole lot. And now, as we get further away from it, more people will point to why didn't they achieve more? Why didn't the Lakers get more out of LeBron? Why didn't LeBron achieve enough? You are inevitably going to hear, well, Anthony Davis was never healthy and Luka was never healthy, and that was the problem. It wasn't that LeBron didn't find a way, when the NBA had as much parity as it's ever had, to navigate that and win these championships. That, since Toronto has won one, and Milwaukee has won one, and Denver has won one, and we can go down the list of teams that have won titles that are not the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron when they, felt like they found their fourth, fifth greatest player of all time. I don't mean that's where he ranks. I mean that, for a while they had Kareem, and before that they had George Mikan, and they've had Magic, and they've had the greatest player. They had Shaq, and they had Kobe. They had the greatest player in the NBA for stretches, and LeBron fell into that line, and all of those guys won multiple titles, and LeBron didn't. And then what's going to be the narrative why? And this is a part of it. This is already laying the groundwork for why it didn't happen, and it is not, why did LeBron not achieve more? It's, wow, all these injuries stopped LeBron from getting to the mountaintop.
Donovan Mitchell kind of did it to Mike Conley, honestly. Mike Conley's hamstring was the reason they didn't beat the Rockets.
And you need health. That's not a lie. Everybody needs health to get there. Certainly you do, but it's not every season.
All right, stay tuned. We're going to play a game coming up next called Sociopath.
Okay.
Or Truth Teller.
These are about Christian?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't put Christian as a sociopath, would you?
We don't know enough about him. My fear is that we've known him for 2 years, and neither you or I know anything about him. Do we know his last name?
Esparza.
No, I'd forgotten. He says he has a baby. I haven't seen it. What if this is all a lie? What if his wife's gluten allergy is fake? What if his dog Cowboy's fake? What if his last name isn't Esparza?
He's doing to us what that gal did to Dirk Nowitzki?
What that guy did to, what was the banking scandal last week? Yeah, the gal. Dirk.
J.P. Morgan?
J.P. Morgan? It's a J.P. Morgan situation?
That dude doubled down. He could be telling the truth still.
Okay. You see more have come out about his past lies?
That he made up
his dad
his
was dead?
Dad dying,
so
yeah.
you get time off?
Well, who hasn't done that?
Yeah, that's just a tried and true.
I worked with a guy whose grandparents died like 7 times. Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Multiple times.
Yeah. All right, stay tuned. We'll get to our new game next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Systems go. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Scotty G and the coach coming up on Monday from RGS Exteriors from 10 to 2, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Christian, play the sounder. Christian has breaking news for us.
Breaking news.
This just in as of TMZ, guys. Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini were spotted together on a boat in 2021, privately, just the two of them, while she was pregnant with her first son, who was later named Michael.
This is huge news.
Huge nose.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is John Edwards level.
Okay.
The story has
Not
now
quite, but
reached.
sure.
Well, we don't know if Mr. Russini is dying of cancer, I guess.
Christian John Edwards was the front-running Democratic candidate to be the presidential candidate in 2004.
The one John Kerry ended up getting.
And revealed to have an affair and then used campaign finances to do something else. Anyways.
To deal with the problem? No,
I don't want to say that. That's why I didn't say anything.
No, it's probably better to be left unsaid.
Mm-hmm.
We've
not quite reached that with Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel.
If you're Mr. Russini, you're demanding a paternity test, right?
Yes. So, again, going back to the beginning of our coverage, our round-the-clock coverage of Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel, my very first takeaway was, because after it kind of went beyond denial and got into, I had some very tough conversations with my family, which was what Vrabel said right before the NFL draft. My whole take was, oh man, I hope he actually told them everything. Because you and I know how these stories work. This doesn't stop. And once page 6? Starts generating 10,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million clicks on these stories, they assign all of their talent or whatever you want to call it, resources, to finding more. And then once they are generating that web traffic, then TMZ has to follow, or whoever has to follow.
Oh, especially since TMZ passed on the story in the first place.
The Daily Mail has to follow. So now you have the quote-unquote best in the business digging up whatever they can and then offering huge sums of money to get dirt like this on more of the story. And this is an example of that. So I hope when Vrabel talked to his wife, Jen Vrabel, that he said, let's start with the casino. Let's talk about the boat, apparently. Let's hit all of them. Because if you leave that off and then TMZ reports about the boat, then you have to start the entire conversation over again from square one. And that's when you're actually going to lose your spouse. When you have to continue to revisit this.
Oh, that's when.
Well,
that's the breaking point.
If you want to say it should have had the breaking point should have been at the very first sign of this, I'd listen to it. I think that's totally fair, to each their own. But if you keep having to say, oh, well, yes, I did lie about that, and then yes, I did lie about that, and yes, I did lie about that, that's when you really start to have a lot of issues on your hands that become, I think, unsolvable. How many times can you break the vase, glue it back together, and still have it look like a vase?
Now, you, Ben, worked at a hotel. Tell me if you think this is a salacious detail or not.
Okay.
Let's see. The NFL duo booked the vessel in Putnam County, Tennessee in June 2021. According to a source with direct knowledge who also says the Tennessee Titans head coach and the journalist were the only people aboard for their 2 to 3 hour rental.
Okay.
So not a whole day.
Well, yeah, the hotels I worked at, Jake, didn't have an hourly rate.
Mine either. For good reason.
Yeah. Right.
Because if you have to get the whole day, you're more likely to, use it for
a whole day,
like a business trip.
Yeah,
or
whatever.
As
you
opposed
got a meeting
to,
in the morning.
Yeah.
Other things.
Right. Very short rental. Maybe it's not a big. Maybe it's not a big lake. So you're saying erroneous detail?
No, I'm not. It's just not where I was taking this story. But when was this? When in 2021?
June.
Do we think they had gotten their vaccinations yet?
You're turning this into a COVID story?
No, I'm just kind of wondering, that's kind of when, the general populace was starting to get access to the vaccine. I think was June 2021, if I remember correctly. That's when everyone on Instagram was posting that they'd gotten the shot. So I wonder, A, if they had gotten that together. But, B, were they, on the road again, already traveling?
Oh, they never stopped. Right?
Yeah, apparently they never stopped. So, no, this is... there's a chance, Jake, that this story, Christian breaking news for the world, is the straw that breaks the camel's back.
You think
and
it's
I
the
mean
boat?
that, yeah. I think the boat alone, while pregnant for a couple of hours, pregnant with the son who eventually is named Michael. When the guy you're cheating on him with is named Michael.
So does it make the story better or worse if the kid is not his?
Oh, well, if the kid is Mike Vrabel's, that's way worse. Because then...
The boat situation in particular.
Shake Shack is...
It's really...
He's raising somebody else's son, which that happens all the time, but I mean not in that
Do you
fashion.
think she knows?
Yes, I suspect. Man, I hope so. I hope so.
You're renting a boat while you're pregnant? For 2 to 3 hours? A 3-hour tour?
Not worried about the seasickness.
I don't know. Maybe she doesn't.
Maybe they were just fishing.
Fishing, all right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they pulled in some largemouth bass that day. I don't know. It doesn't look good, though.
It does not look
It
good.
does not
and again,
look good.
I go back to I really hope when Dianna talked to Shake Shack and when Mike talked to Jen that they said, I'm going to tell you about some things. This is going to hurt.
Oh, she didn't tell him about the boat.
I bet
Sit down. I hope you have a while because it's a long story.
There's a lot of interactions here. And when Shake Shack says, I need to know everything. Tell me what it was. Tell me when it was. And she says, a couple-ish. A couple.
Ah, we were at the bar that one time.
Yeah,
a couple of hours at a time, am I right?
And then the boat story comes out. That's when, again, you can't glue the vase back together again.
I think we passed that a long time ago.
Maybe. But apparently we didn't because Jen and Shake Shack are still into it.
Yeah, well, Shake Shack is obviously a sad little man. And I don't know what Miss Vrabel's problem is. She's more of the addicted to money type, I would guess.
It's possible. I don't know.
No, I've been telling you, the Carmela Soprano, can't leave the lifestyle.
Yeah. So, anyways, the boat story certainly is maybe the most.
The timing doesn't look good.
The timing looks really bad. Yes, the timing with the pregnancy and all of it does not look good at all. The name of the son.
Not
also
good.
being the name of the captain of the boat.
Probably shouldn't do that if you're carrying on an affair.
Unless Dianna was driving the boat. I don't want to be sexist and assume that she wasn't manning the boat.
Who cares who's driving the boat?
Just saying. So, yeah.
What are you saying, Ben?
There's a chance
this is
it.
The subtle sexism of assuming the man drives the boat is your big issue here?
That's your big details. That's too hairy for me.
Big takeaway. I don't want to say she couldn't drive the boat. We insinuated she has no idea who's the father of her own child, but she could have been driving that boat easy. Don't pull that crap around here, pal.
TMZ in this article also says Vrabel and Russinni appeared cautious about photos being taken. She declined to pose at all with the staff. Vrabel agreed to snap one picture, but he allegedly asked that no images be publicly posted.
What's next? I can't wait to see pictures of them at the Shake Shack.
They were it's his favorite burger. This is a bad story. It's a great story.
It's an amazing story.
It's an amazing story. But man, there is some real you know how grief comes. Grief kind of comes in waves. It kind of comes and goes and it comes and goes. And I'm sure there are days when Jen's like, all right, Shake Shack. It's like, I can do this. Things are going to be okay. Driving home, gets a text, and it just says, the boat? ? And it just just starts over. The healing process starts over. Poor Shake Shack.
Oh, that's great breaking news.
Thank you, Christian.
Way to go, TMZ. Way to start doing your job. You passed on the first photos. What are you doing? All right. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk a little college football. I love it. We're going to have some off-season college football talk. Adam Rittenberg is going to join us. He writes for ESPN. He and a couple other writers have done a long project evaluating the off-seasons of all of the P5, P4, what is it, P9 schools. We'll get to that coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're going to talk to Adam Rittenberg of ESPN coming up momentarily. We're going to talk some college football, but we do have some breaking Jazz news. We won't make Christian play the sounder this time. The representative at the lottery, Ben, is going to be Keontae George.
Yeah. I think this is a good sign for the Jazz. Now, he's not lucky. It doesn't mean anything there. But Keontae has a lot of buy-in. And I've told you, Larry Markkinen's pretty internalized. He's not an extrovert. He's an introvert. And the Jazz need some personalities that lead the locker room. And Keontae has a ton of it. And I think it's actually a really positive personality. So.
Well, he probably can hold a smile if things go wrong.
Uh-huh. He's a walking smile. Certainly now he is. That wasn't always the case his first 2 years.
All right, let's talk some college football. Joining us now, he covers college football for ESPN. He and a couple other writers have a great piece out for you college football nerds, ranking everybody's offseason in the P4. Adam Rittenberg is with us here on Jake and Ben. Hi, Adam.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're doing terrific. Extensive work here. A ton of coverage and movement and who landed where and who did well. I guess what were you looking for when you were establishing your criteria before we offend some listeners with what the results were?
Well, we did this last year, just because of the off season, because you got transfer portal, you have coaching changes, guys that go to the NFL, it's still high school recruiting. Last year we had 2 portals, now we have 1. And it's just so important because we've seen teams, turn their fortunes around or go the wrong way based on how they perform in the off season. So, how much we weight one of the criteria over another. I think some of that's personal preference, but we talk it through with, myself and Eli Letterman and Max Olson. But, certainly the transfer portal, how you did in terms of who you gained and who you lost is important. The coaching staff continuity is a big one for me. I tend to look at, even situations where you could say, well, you upgraded your head coach. That's still a disruption, and oftentimes you don't have success, immediately when that happens. And so, NFL retention, are you able to keep guys that maybe could have gone on to the NFL draft and instead are choosing to come back to your school, or do you have kind of an exodus of guys to the NFL? So all of that goes into determining who goes where in terms of these off-season rankings.
Focusing on the Big 12, Texas Tech obviously is a juggernaut. They're rolling in dough, and they come in at number 1 as far as the conference goes in your guys' offseason ratings. Is that change at all depending on the future of Brendan Sorsby?
Well, it didn't. I mean, we talked about that certainly, and candidly, we had Texas Tech higher in our national rankings before the Sorsby injury, came to light. And it's a concern, right? I mean, that's a guy you brought in to lead your offense and to be an upgrade over Baron Morton, who dealt with injuries throughout his career, still a 7th-round draft pick in this last draft. But we felt that, because of the continuity on the coaching staff, Joey McGuire, keeping his primary coordinators and just replacing a few position coaches, still a really good year in the portal in terms of who they were able to add, to fill in some of the gaps lost to the NFL, that it was still a team that did enough to be ranked first in the Big 12. But, we obviously looked at the Sorsby situation and shuffled some things around from a national order, but really not a Big 12 order.
Adam, still find myself at times in an old school perspective on the transfer portal where a lot of times a guy was, you'd get 1 or 2 transfers in the offseason. It wasn't 40 guys. It wasn't 25 guys. And it certainly wasn't a lot of players stepping in to start right away, where I kind of feel like every transfer is still 50-50 at best. And clearly that is no longer the case. There are teams that are basically, I don't want to say a team of mercenaries, but Texas Tech brings in all these not random dudes, but, 1-year guys, 2-year guys, and they step in and it immediately makes a difference. Are we getting safer with the transfer portal? Do you think teams are getting sharper with who they're bringing in?
I think so. And, some of it's just the market tells you who the impact players are. It doesn't mean that all the impact players are going to, or the everyone you pay a lot of money for is going to make the desired impact. But you look at Texas Tech and their approach towards the defensive line. I was actually talking with Joey McGuire, their head coach, about this before the draft. It wasn't like they signed a bunch of no doubt first round picks on the defensive line. They signed players who commanded a lot in the portal, and there was a lot of hope. But the way that defensive line came together, led by David Bailey, the number 2 overall pick, I mean, that was just a fabulous job of investment and evaluation and then coaching them up. And so I think they feel pretty good about their eye, for certain positions. And, unfortunately for them, listen, I felt the quarterback was a weakness for them all year and something that would hold them back in the playoff. And lo and behold, they get shut out in their first playoff game. And so they go out and add Brendan Sorsby, and maybe they could have had Sam Levitt, maybe they could have had Josh Hoover, one of these other quarterbacks who goes to a contending team. They end up with a guy who, again, given my experience covering the wagering situation in the state of Iowa involving Iowa and Iowa State athletes, I see no way that Brendan Sorsby takes a snap for Texas Tech. I know Jeffrey Kessler is a great attorney and maybe he works some magic, but I don't think he's playing for them this year.
Of course, we want to talk to you about our local schools here. Let's talk about BYU. What did you think about their offseason?
Really good. And I was out there a few weeks ago with both BYU and Utah, and was speaking with Kalani, and he's like, "Hey, we had a great offseason." He's right. And listen, it starts with himself. It starts with the fact that Kalani Sitake is still the head coach at BYU, when it looked there for a few days like he was out the door to Penn State. And yeah, you lose Jay Hill, but the core of that staff is remaining. Aaron Roderick at offensive coordinator. You keep Bear Bachmeier, who they told me a lot of teams are coming after Bear this offseason. You keep LJ Martin, the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, one of the nation's best running backs. And then you upgraded in the portal, adding a guy like Kedu Olave from Cal, who's a great fit there. Talking to him, one of these guys, you're like, how did you not end up at BYU in the first place? Well, he's there now, and to really help a defense that is going through a little bit of transition. So, it wasn't a perfect offseason, but I think in terms of retention and continuity, they really did excel in some of those key areas that we use to evaluate teams.
If you look historically, BYU, one of their big jumps, other than when Kalani got there, was Jay Hill moved from being the head coach at Weber State to being their defensive coordinator, and they really took a major step forward. He departs with Kyle Whittingham for Michigan, so both teams in our state at the P4 level lost major talent in the coaching ranks. What do you make of a loss of a guy like Jay Hill, who is going to a major program in Michigan?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a loss, and Jay's really good at what he does, and Kyle wouldn't have brought him over to Michigan as his defensive coordinator to oversee a unit that has really been strong and could be strong again here this coming season. And so I think it does speak to just how talented he is as a defensive play caller, as a developer of talent. That a rival coach, even though everybody in Utah seems to know each other pretty well in the football coaching community, that a coach at another school says, "Hey, I want you. Obviously, I can't take Morgan Scalley with me. I'm going to take Jay Hill from BYU to be my defensive coordinator at Michigan."
All right, let's switch gears to the Utes. And you said, in your evaluation of all these teams, you valued coaching continuity. Obviously, that's the big story with Utah. So how did that affect their offseason, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, in a sense, they have continuity with Morgan Scalley, who's been there for so long, and we knew he was going to be the head coach. This isn't a surprise. But it's also a disruption because Kyle Whittingham is no longer the head coach, and their strength coach is gone, and Jim Harding, who one of the best offensive line coaches in the country, is no longer there. And so that's a concern, at least on the surface, until we see how Utah handles it. But they retain Devin Dampier, they retain some other backup quarterback who's certainly in demand. Who probably could have left for more money in Bert Bicklin. They retain their running back room. They retain some good players on the defensive side, and you're getting a chance to see them practice. I think that's going to be a good football team. But it is a bit of an unknown when you replace a Hall of Fame coach who's been been there so long, who had done it a certain way and successfully for as long as Kyle did, I think it's fair to at least be curious about the effect of all that.
And they have two guys who, whether it's, I don't say spending time in the pocket because they want to break out and run. They are runners. But Utah lost 2 offensive linemen to the first round. I mean, those were 2 major pieces of Utah's attack last year.
Right, and it's a new look offensive line. That's a position historically where Utah has thrived, and there's a chance that they could thrive again. But new offensive line coach who everyone's really excited about, but still his first time kind of in this premier role at a power school, and then so many new linemen that are moving into starting roles. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that shakes out, because as talented as Devin and Bird are in terms of moving around, you've got to protect for them. You've got to block for Wayshawn and that running back room, and create opportunities to attack downfield. I know that Kevin McGivern, that's what we talked about, that he really feels that there's opportunities to improve in terms of the passing game and the explosive passing game, but that all starts up front. So yeah, if I were to put together a list, and I might at some point, of just position groups to watch this season around the country that could factor into league races and playoff races, Utah's offensive line is right up there.
Monitoring the player movement, like you would have to write this, are there any overall patterns that you've noticed? For example, are the top 2 conferences with all the money pulling away, or are there more maybe Texas Techs that are somehow found the big time donors that are grabbing more players? Did you notice really any patterns?
Well, I think if you're not in the Big Ten and the SEC, and not every Big Ten and SEC school is the same, but if you're not in those 2 conferences, you have to have significant donor support in order to hold on to your best players and also add. It's one thing to protect, but in this environment, you have to add valuable pieces to make your roster better. And 2 examples of that were playoff teams last year: Texas Tech in the Big 12, Miami in the ACC. But in talking to Kalani and Morgan and the folks at both of those schools, Brian Santiago and Mark Harlan at Utah, they feel like they have the support necessary to maintain and enhance their rosters going forward as Big 12 schools. So that's going to be really important, because the Big Ten and SEC schools are certainly aware of what's going on in the Big 12 and the ACC, and when opportunities arise to pluck some of their better players with deep pockets, they're not going to be bashful about it. So I think it's those. Let's face it; those conferences are going to have less money from a revenue standpoint. So how does your donor base look? How are your other revenue streams look to be able to keep up with a random school in the SEC or Big Ten that just has a lot more revenue?
Adam, I'm curious. I'm trying to find the article. I apologize. I should have done this earlier. Of your last year's ranking, because you discussed how you did it last season. Where did Indiana rank? And the reason I ask is because should we expect the team that has the best offseason to be serious competitors or in competition to win the national title every year? Like, do you think there's going to be that much kind of a direct result of who wins in the regular season based off who had a good offseason?
Well, I think it's certainly predictive. I'm just going back to last year's. I don't have it in the car right now as well, but I don't have it up with me right now. I think we were encouraged by Indiana's ability to keep its staff together last year, coming off of a playoff appearance that no one thought was possible. Normally a school like Indiana would get rated, and the only assistant that left went to become an offensive coordinator, and Tino Sinceri, ironically, he's back now, replacing the only assistant who left from this year's team. Indiana's portal coming off of the first playoff team was strong. I don't think it was as strong as this year's portal. But again, Fernando Mendoza was part of that last transfer class, and he's the Heisman Trophy winner and the number 1 overall draft pick. And so I just think Indiana, the story there, which is so interesting and impressive, is that they weren't willing to just have one great season. They have been working tirelessly to become a national power, which again a few years ago wasn't really possible. Now it is because of the portal, because of who they hired as the head coach, and because they have this donor base and these revenue sources that, quite frankly, I didn't even know about as someone who's covered Indiana in the Big Ten for many years. Indiana has that financial juice, so to speak, and it just needed a reason. And obviously, Curt Cignetti has provided that reason. But I don't think Indiana was in our national top 10 a year ago, but was certainly looked at as having a really good offseason, hoping to follow up on that first playoff appearance, and they obviously did with an undefeated season and a national championship.
What do you think about Witt talking about $50 million rosters?
That Witt's brought that up? Yeah.
What do you think about that number? I mean, are things just spinning out of control, or is this, I don't know. I never thought we'd be in this territory.
Yes, things are spinning out of control.
I never thought we'd be here.
Yeah, but Indiana didn't have the most money last year, and they won. It's still about your evaluation and your coaching and you're being able to retain players. I think, again, spending to retain is a little different in my mind than spending to spend or spending solely on outside players. I mean, Texas Tech was maybe more of the latter, but they were also able to keep some pretty good players from their 2024 team that were part of last year's run. Jacob Rodriguez, maybe the most obvious example of that, who won all the National Defensive Player of the Year awards. So, coaches love to complain about that stuff, how it's not even, how it's out of control. How are we gonna wake up tomorrow? Well, you got to still coach your team. You got to scout. You got to develop. And Indiana has done that better than anyone. You're going down there a few weeks ago to visit. They are so on top of their roster and figuring things out, and everybody in that building is kind of pulling in the same direction. Not surprising after a national championship, but they have all elements of their program rolling. It's not just about the money.
Looking at the rest of the Big 12, going into last season, I think even though Utah was coming off of a very down year, there was some belief that with the offense they'd added and the players they'd brought in, that the Big 12 was going to be BYU, Utah, and Texas Tech because of their offseason additions as well, and that bore out. Those were the three best teams in the Big 12 last year. What do you expect this year from the Big 12? Texas Tech, BYU, obviously very good. Who do you think gets into that group of the top three, top four?
Yeah, I think those are probably the top two I have going into the season. And then I think you have a group of 3 or 4 that are fascinating to me, Utah being one of them. But two teams that I heard a lot about, from the coaches at Utah, BYU, but also others that I've talked to around the conference are Arizona and Houston. Arizona, what they did last year to turn things around, and then you bring back, one of the more accomplished quarterbacks in college football, Noah Fafita. They have a defense. I visited there as well on that trip, and Danny Gonzalez, their defensive coordinator, thinks they can be a top 10 defense, top 15 defense, which we haven't seen it out at Arizona for some time. And if that's the case, they're going to be a contending team in the Big 12. And then Houston, kind of quietly wins 10 games. And this is what Willie Fritz does. Did it at Tulane. He's done it everywhere else in his career that he ends up winning. And you look at their retention. You look at bringing back their quarterback and who they were able to add in the portal and their recruiting. Their staff retention. There's a lot of really good things happening at Houston. So to me, it's those 5, maybe with TCU getting in the mix, and then we'll see. There's a lot of wild cards in the Big 12, but I would not sleep on Arizona if I'm a BYU or Utah fan.
Man, judging by your guys' evaluation, Iowa State is in rough shape after losing Matt Campbell.
Man. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's they have such great fans, and I don't like to pile on, but if we were doing a national 1 through 68 ranking, guys, of worst off seasons, they're probably at or near the bottom. I mean, maybe Stanford didn't have a great offseason. I thought you can make some case for other, but it was pretty. Again, I think the guy they hired from Washington State, Jimmy Rogers, is a good coach, and he's brought in some players, but they lost pretty much anyone who's ever done anything there from the roster standpoint, going to Penn State or elsewhere, or going on to the NFL. So, unfortunately for Iowa State, it looking like a pretty big step backward this season.
On the flip side, Michigan it didn't get the guy they were seeking right away, it didn't seem like, in replacing Sharon Moore. But Kyle Wingham, as you mentioned, is a Hall of Famer. I was a big believer in what Witt was doing here at the University of Utah. Hard to bet. He was over 500 every year his career, it seemed like. But what do you think of Michigan? What do you think? What do you expect out of them this season?
He's such a steady. I actually spoke to Kyle earlier today about one of their players. He's just he's the same guy every time he picks up the phone and he's evaluating a player or he's evaluating, part of his team. And I think that steadiness is really going to help a Michigan program that's really been through it as far as turmoil and controversy the last few years, which again includes the national championship, but let's call it what it is. The roster-wise, again, not to be cliche here, but a lot depends on Bryce Underwood, who, wasn't maybe at expectation last year as the nation's number one recruit. Jason Beck takes over. Jason had great success with Devin Dampier, but Devin's a very different quarterback than Bryce. And so that, to me, is it. Like, they're going to be good on defense. They're going to be good on special teams. I don't think they did enough at wide receiver, personally, or tight end to give Bryce enough to truly take that next step as a passer, but I think they're going to run the ball, and I think they're going to be a really tough team to beat. Their schedule is not easy, guys. They need to win some of their home games because there just are some really difficult opponents that they have, starting with that early game against an Oklahoma team that beat them last year in Norman, and that their coach Brent Venables think will be even better this year.
Adam, it's very nice on a 4-hour show to take a little break to talk some off-season college football. Your guys' work there with all the off-season moves is just tremendous. So thank you very much for jumping on with us.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, enjoyed it, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Adam. Adam Rittenberg, and we'll get some links out on the Talk Snap to his piece here. He partnered with Eli Letterman and Max Olson, and they evaluated all the off seasons for all the P4 teams. Really, really good stuff.
I honestly, because it's been such a crazy news cycle this offseason, almost forget that Kalani was gone to Penn State. I know you were out of town, I think, when that story was going on, because you leave me with a lot of juicy stories. It's very nice of you.
You leave me with a dry desert of nothing.
Or horrendous stories, but
or
really tough
assault
stories.
Scandals.
Yeah, but man, that was done. That was a done deal, and then it didn't come together. And then Michigan sought seemingly 4 or 5 other coaches before they landed with Witt, and then that came together so quickly after Witt was leaving Utah, and then took so much of the staff. So I'm excited to watch all of those teams this offseason. This season.
Did you see that your guy Sharon Moore kept Marcus Freeman off of SNL?
I didn't.
No? What's his name? Michael Shea? I don't really watch that show, but he's the host of Weekend Update.
Yeah.
So he basically had it all lined up that Marcus Freeman, the head coach at Notre Dame, was going to make, they'll have those temporary celebrity appearances on Weekend Update.
Yeah, cameo.
He was all ready to go. Apparently Lorne Michaels was on board. They were writing the stuff. He was coming in. 3 days before he was to do it is when Sharon spun out. And all of a sudden, the Michigan coach became the biggest sports story in the world. And you can't have Marcus Freeman going on Weekend Update and making jokes about it, nor could they have him ignore it. Notre Dame wouldn't be the biggest,
Plus, he was rumored to be in the running for the Michigan job. So the other issues there,
So Sharon not only spun out and probably ruined his marriage, although we don't have an update on that.
But that could have been
got himself
Marcus
arrested.
Big break.
It could have been.
He finally could have been somebody.
He could be in Happy Gilmore 3 right now.
If he had done a great job. Witt team not having receivers, according to Adam Rittenberg. Big news.
Hey,
breaking.
Guess what? They're not going to have an offense.
They had a decent offense last year. Receivers, they did not.
They had a different coach last year. They're going to have a crappy offense, I assure you.
It's the coach that Utah had last year. Is now in Michigan, the coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he did good here. I thought he did well in Salt Lake.
Receivers didn't.
Receivers did not.
The throwing game overall did not.
No.
The one half of the offense, they were pretty good, and it happens to be the half of the offense that Witt likes.
Yeah.
And they were a little bit on the gimmicky side.
Yeah. The offense will produce some. It's not going to be that dynamic. And there's going to be complaints from Michigan fans.
Protect the defense, Ben.
Yeah. Don't turn the ball over.
Oh, or else. Look out. You may be paying that running back $5 million. Witt will sit him down.
Well, admittedly, I cannot wait to watch Michigan football next year. Good or bad, I don't. It's the story that keeps on giving.
Are Ute fans rooting for or against him?
Against him.
You think?
Took a lot of players, took a lot of coaches. Yeah.
You don't think there are Ute
The
fans
athletic
that are...
director came out and blasted a recruit that transferred.
Yeah, but that's the athletic director. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some Ute fans who are
there are
grumpy
some diehards.
with how it happened.
Yeah, there are some diehards.
That's why I asked the question. I don't think it's a layup that they're rooting against him necessarily.
No, there will always be a couple that follow. I'm not going to paint with the broadest brush saying nobody.
I don't think it's about the following. I don't actually think it's about the Witt love necessarily. I think it's about how the disapproval with the Witt divorce.
With the process.
I think there are a bunch of fans that believe that Witt was a good enough coach that he should have been able to write his own ticket.
Myself included, though I would take the fan out of it, but I think Witt was that good of a coach.
I don't.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair.
I mean, I don't necessarily think moving on from him at that moment in time, I don't know if the right move, but I don't know if he was good enough to write his own ticket. Just demand what his salary was going to be and how he was going to stay and dictate it all. Obviously, Utah disagreed.
The good people at Ocho Capital disagreed.
I do think there are people, though, that think he should not have gone out like that.
Mm-hmm. And count me among them.
Like that? You are probably rooting for Witt at Michigan.
No, I just can't wait to cover the story. I don't care. Losses, great. Do you know how much time we're going to get out of that? Wins, great. Do you know how much time we're going to get out of that?
Okay, sorry. People like you, who feel...
Not people like me.
I'm trying to say who feel like Witt could have written his own ticket, which you said you admittedly were.
Agreed.
Are pulling for Witt at Michigan.
Yeah. Makes you look like you were right.
Right. All right, stay tuned. What you got Wednesday? Coming up next, Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Emergency maintenance causing lane closures in Midvale on 7200 South. Only the left lane is available currently for westbound drivers going under I-15. If you're part of the southbound pack on I-15, delays of the usual variety from 4500 South in Murray all the way to Draper and Bluffdale. Does your mom dream of asphalt? Maybe not, but she does dream of things done right. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave's got your blacktop covered. Visit GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. With your KSL traffic update, I'm Christian Esparza here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What you got Wednesday? What's the deal? Jake's got rules, Ben's out to steal. Bozo takes their spinning around. Flush it down, flush it down. Emo skater Ben with a devious grin. Jake rolls his eyes, lets out a sigh within. If rules had feelings, they'd probably cry. Ben's chaos just makes them fly. What you got Wednesday?
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about our friends at Miki Couture. This Mother's Day, give her more than just a gift. Give her a comfort she'll feel every day. Enjoy a special Mother's Day deal, 50% off regularly priced blankets with code ZONE50. Shop online at MikiCouture.com or simply drop by one of their fabulous locations. It is now time for What You Got Wednesday. If you're new to the show, Ben and I go head-to-head every single Wednesday in 2 5-selection drafts, one sports-related, one not. Then we throw it out on the Talk Snap for a vote. What happened last week, Christian?
Last week, best short athletes. Ben won 58-42. And best Las Vegas things, Jake won 75-25.
Wow.
That's my wheelhouse, though.
Okay.
I feel like I owned you in both those drafts.
Well, clearly no one else felt that way.
Not the short kings, apparently.
Yeah.
Or queens, because I did have Serena.
And I had Simone.
All right, what is today's sports-related topic, Christian?
Our sports draft today, you guys are going to pick the best Lakers and Thunder/Supersonics of all time.
Okay. The trick with this one is how Laker heavy will it be? I'm curious to see how many Sonics/Thunder actually.
Let me see how many I have. 1, 2, 3. I have 5. I go 5 and 5 here.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
Is there an automatic number one pick?
Yes, I think there is.
You
have the top pick here?
I do.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't, actually, but I do. All right. Give me Buck Johnson.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think Magic is the number one pick?
Oh, Irvin.
Yeah, his nickname was Buck.
Buck. No one's good. If you say, put Buck Johnson on there.
Irvin Buck Johnson.
Put Magic Johnson on there. No, put Buck on there. Just put Buck Johnson. Okay. I had him too. So, yeah, that's totally fair. Along those lines, I will go with the other probably greatest Laker of all time. I'll go with Kareem. Yeah, I think you don't think you're going wrong there either way.
Pretty sure Kareem gave Magic the nickname Buck.
Okay.
Young Buck.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think those are both. Yeah, those were the 1 and 2 on my board.
I've always liked
totally
Buck better than Magic.
Oh no, I think Magic's the greatest nickname of all time. Hard to beat.
All right, I'll go with Kobe.
Okay.
There was an NBA player named Alfonso Buck Johnson.
Yeah,
No, Irvin.
You're not drafting him?
Irvin Buck Johnson.
He played for Houston.
Houston's Buck Johnson. All right. Well, then we're going to be a little boring here. We're going Laker heavy, but rightfully so. And I'm going to go with Shaq. And I think Shaq was better than Kobe. I don't know. Some people don't think he had a better career with the Lakers than Kobe, and that's totally fair. Kobe won 5 titles with L.A. Shaq won 3. So I think that's completely reasonable.
Is it too early to take Nick Collison?
A little.
Let's see, Ben. Do I want to go with that? All right, I'm going to go with, Kevin Durant.
Okay.
I probably could have gotten him later, but whatever. Kevin Durant.
And I'll go with his contemporary, the better of the two, LeBron James.
Yeah, LeBron as a Laker sucked, though.
Kind of. Didn't play his best basketball of his career with the Lakers. I think that's fair. That's why he didn't go number 1 overall. I think LeBron is better than all of these players we've drafted for his entire career, but we're talking about as a member of the Lakers. And he's not better than all of these players as a member of the Lakers.
He sucks. I'll go with Wilt.
Okay. Did not have Wilt on my board.
Okay.
And
too bad?
No, it's fine. He won a title there. Absolutely deserve it. I will go with SGA. SGA is about to leap, I think, Kevin Durant in the all-time rankings this year. He's about to win his second MVP. He's about to win his second title. He's going to really rapidly start to redefine how we look at this era. In fact, I won't be surprised if he jumps Jokic in a lot of people's eyes very quickly and then starts knocking on that door of how quickly does he get to the conversation of top 10 players of all time. I think Shea is going to get there really, really quick.
I'm debating between 2 guards, Ben, but I'm going to go with Gary Payton.
Okay.
Hall of Famer.
The glove. With the Lakers or with the Sonics?
Oh, good call. I was thinking Sonics, Gary Payton. But,
okay.
But he's been on both sides.
He played, at least 1 year on the Karl Malone team.
No, it was only 1, I believe. He went to as many finals with the Lakers, though, as he did with the Sonics.
And then one with Miami. Hit a big shot in the fourth quarter of that one of their titles. So shout out the glove, Gary Payton. All right, I will go with, this is my last pick. I guess I'll go with, I'll go Ray Allen. Ray Allen got that Sonics team to the conference finals. We were talking about Rashard Lewis earlier in this show. And actually predated the 7 seconds or less Suns as a high-speed, super three-point heavy offense that helped shape the NBA. And Ray Allen was a major part of that. He left being dunk contest Ray Allen and became greatest three-point shooter on the planet. Ray Allen in Seattle.
Was Ray Allen in the dunk contest?
Oh, yeah.
Did he win?
I don't believe so.
Do you remember? Well, Christian doesn't even know.
No,
who Ray
I
Allen
do
is.
not remember that, no.
All right.
1997 slam dunk contest.
I wasn't even a thought at that point.
I don't even remember it. Ben's like, and how? Did my memory hold
That
out?
was Kobe Bryant's, the year Kobe Bryant won it.
Jake had the number 1 pick. He went Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Wilt Chamberlain, and Gary Payton. Ben went Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and Ray Allen.
A lot of notables.
No James Harden? No. Jerry West?
I was going to take Jerry West, but
Russell
I decided
Westbrook.
to go Peyton instead. Well, I wasn't drafting Rusty.
Yeah, I know you
I
weren't.
wouldn't draft Rusty if we got to 10.
Kendrick Perkins?
Sean Kemp. Detlef Schrempf. Yeah. Some names.
All right, what is our not sports topic?
I don't even remember what inspired this, but we're going to go with best Farrelly Brothers and Coen Brothers movies.
Probably should have taken Elgin Baylor, one of us. But anyways, neither here nor there.
I really like this draft. Farrelly Brothers or Coen Brothers directed movies.
Okay.
And to be clear, is it directed only or produced?
Direct. I only picked directed movies, so.
Sure. All right. If I picked one that's just produced, you let me know.
I'll be fine. Yeah.
Is there an automatic number one?
Am I one?
Yes.
Yes, I think there is.
Okay.
I think this might be the best movie of the 90s. Fargo is
Fargo's amazing.
a perfect movie. It's funny, it's horribly violent, it's well written, it's really tight.
The acting is amazing.
The acting is amazing. It really created some people. John C. Reilly was around, but he really broke through with this. We know Frances McDormand, how great she was, and she will show up again on this list. Have you seen Fargo, Christian?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I was going to say my mom hates it because she's from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks the accents are way overdone.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think they're spot on.
Is there a funnier part? Well, that movie's full of funny parts, but remember when she meets up with her old high school friend and he hits on her even
Gary?
though she's 8 minutes?
I think it's
she's
Gary.
like 8 months pregnant and he starts hitting on her? Mike Vrabel, Russini style?
Yeah. Just get
Too
to a
soon.
boat. Just get Gary to a boat.
Get Gary to a boat. What a great movie. I'm with you. I don't know if it would have been my number one pick because I do love this movie equally, if not a touch more, and that's The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
I'm not hating on your Fargo pick, though. But The Big Lebowski.
Oh, his name's Mike. His name's not Gary.
Is it Mike?
Who is Gary that I'm thinking of? Anyways, his name's Mike. Okay, I had it on my board. I had it down quite a bit lower. But no, it's an all-time rewatchable. It's a great throw-on. You don't have to watch the whole movie if you want to. If you want to sit down and watch the whole thing, you're going to have a great time. I think it gets funnier every time you watch it. I think it is a movie that really grows on you the more you watch it. First, there's not a whole lot of movies like it in history. So you watch it, and it's just, you kind of don't know what's going on. And I was like 15 when it came out, and everyone said to watch it, and I was certainly, some of the things went over my head. And now, as you get older, it just...
Philip Seymour Hoffman was amazing. Brant?
He's great in it. I mean, John Goodman's one of his best, if not his best.
All right.
Yeah, fully fair. And Bridges, who is one of our great actors of all time, I think that is his defining role of his career.
Oh, it certainly is.
All right, I will go with No Country. I think No Country is also basically a perfect movie and is very similar to Fargo in some of its themes, but it works. The theme works.
Honestly, I like Fargo way more.
So do I. That's why I picked it first, but I think No Country is one of the best movies of the last 25 years, so happy to have it.
All right, I'm going to get to our first Farrelly Brothers,
Okay.
and I'm going to take Kingpin.
Okay, on my board. It's the right pick.
You talk about the perfect movie.
Yeah.
It might be Kingpin.
It is. It's a little long in some areas, but I was surprised as I was looking through my Farrelly Brothers movies how not beloved this movie is when, if you watch it, it is so hilarious.
We don't have a cow. We have a bull. I got to go brush my teeth. Woody Harrelson?
One of the great... It's not even a cameo because Bill Murray is a character in the movie. It's not like he shows up for 10 minutes.
No, but Ernie McCracken.
But his role is as good as he's ever been.
I've got 2 bowling movies on top, which I'm pretty stoked about. I got to tell you, every time I've gone bowling since I've seen Kingpin, my name on the screen has been Ernie McCracken.
Ernie McCracken. Well, he's insane.
Sometimes when I go to bed at night, Mr. Kraken is still there, and he's there when I get up in the morning, too. I butchered that line.
All right, I'll go Farrelly Brothers also, and I will go with Dumb and Dumber, which also the first time I saw it, I was just like, I don't get what's going on here. And every time I've watched it since, it's funnier and funnier and funnier. And obviously has a ton of local ties with how much of it's shot here in Salt Lake City, including right here on our property at the KSL building. So Dumb and Dumber is a classic. It's one of the great comedies of the last 50 years, 30 years, and it belongs on this list.
All right, I'm going to go back-to-back Farrelly and go There's Something About Mary, which is where I think that they did peak. I think it was a little downhill after Something About Mary.
That's very, very fair. I don't know if I have another one
Saved
on here
Matt Dillon's career.
from them. I was watching a movie last night called Heartburn, and I'm still thinking of Dumb and Dumber. I apologize, but their abilities to save people's careers, like Jeff Daniels, was a little wayward. It was like a weird role for him to take.
Well,
But,
he
like,
wasn't a comedic actor. He
kind
had
of
done,
reintroduced him, though, to
Yeah.
this entire generation of people. It was really...
He had done Speed, right?
Uh-huh. But, I mean, spoiler, he dies in it. He's not the star of it by any means. But, yeah, it's like...
Shoot the hostage.
He kind of
What a
reinvents
terrible
himself
movie.
as a totally new... You don't like Speed?
No.
Oh, I love Speed. Totally reinvents himself as this new pathway for him to stick around. Has done plenty of comedy since then. All right, I will go with... Wife will be mad at me if I don't take it. I'll just go with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
That's great.
Yeah.
It's The Odyssey.
Yeah. Before the new movie, The Odyssey, coming out this year.
Is that going to be good?
It's Chris Nolan. He knows what he's doing, seemingly.
I liked it that there was a #1 album that accompanied the movie.
Yeah. It's fun. For some reason, it feels like it's aged a little poorly, not controversially. Just seems like people aren't as high on it as they were when it came out, but it was a revelation when it came out.
I'm a Dapper Dan man.
Yeah.
All right. We get into these drafts and I end up picking my personal favorites, which
fine.
usually means I lose. But this movie is way underrated. Burn After Reading.
Insane.
Hilarious.
Almost a weird, when I watch it, it feels like a throwaway Coen movie, if you can do that with Brad Pitt and
George
Clooney, like the two biggest stars on the planet at that time. They're like, yeah, we'll just have this little movie come
Uh-huh.
out. Frances McDormand also.
It's so funny.
It might be Brad Pitt's funniest movie.
Right.
He is so funny in it. Yeah. Have you seen Burn After Reading, Christian?
I have not seen that one.
Very Coen-y. There's always 3 things going on. 3 different acts, and they're all introduced or all interacting with one
John
another.
Malkovich is great in that
Yeah,
movie.
he is. Is this my last pick?
Yes.
All right, give me Raising Arizona, which I really, really love. Again, Nick Cage at his absolute best. Holly Hunter is just awesome in this movie. It's when the Coens hadn't quite figured out their ability to make huge movies. They were still making kind of small movies, and Raising Arizona's really tight as well and really, really, really good.
All right, I'm going to take maybe Jim Carrey's best movie, in my opinion.
No.
Me, Myself, and Irene.
It's not.
It's so
This
is.
movie stinks so bad.
It does
This
not.
is one of the worst movies.
Me, Myself, and Irene?
Yeah, horrible movie.
When he's running to chase the train and his nose is whistling? I lose it every time.
They had it at times. I don't think this is where they had it.
Oh, that is so... Yeah, I can't believe you're clowning that movie. That movie is so funny. When he changes into his normal personality and he has a chin surgery.
It has moments. I don't think it works all together as a movie. Christian, anything you would have taken that didn't get picked?
I was holding out for Raising Arizona. I thought that was going to go under.
How many? Have you seen all of these movies we talked about?
I've seen most of them.
Okay.
I have not seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou
Oh,
or
yeah.
Burn After Reading.
Okay.
I think I've seen everything else.
Barton Fink's really good, but nobody's heard of it.
Yeah.
Blood Simple's really good, but nobody's
I've never
ever
seen
heard
Miller's
of it.
Crossing. I'm not a Coen's brother completionist.
The
I should.
Hudsucker Proxy is amazing, but nobody's ever heard of it.
I love Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I really love that movie.
I've honestly never seen
and
it.
it kind of just came out, I think, during COVID. It's a musical. It's like 5 shorts. It's a bunch of little movies strung together. It's not a narrative, but I love watching it. It's a great thriller.
I'm just so happy you didn't pick Stuck on You. That neither one of us picked Stuck on You. That just makes me so happy.
Kinnear and Matt Damon.
The vehicle where they're stuck together, they're Siamese twins.
I was literally talking about that movie yesterday, so it's really funny you brought that
With
up.
Cher.
Uh-huh.
Cher's their neighbor when they moved to California. It's the worst movie ever made.
And could have taken Inside Llewyn Davis, though I think I like all these other movies better.
All right. Did we recap?
Ben had the #1 pick. He went Fargo, No Country for Old Men, Dumb and Dumber, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and Raising Arizona. Jake went The Big Lebowski, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary, Burn After Reading, and Me, Myself, and Irene.
I can't believe you don't like that movie.
I should maybe give it another chance. Can you believe Meryl Streep is in Stuck on You? It's
Yes.
a weird cameo for Meryl.
She's been in lots of bad movies.
She has, yeah. She's been in a lot. She's not like a star in it. She's in, I think Greg Kinnear Has a Dream. He's part of Bonnie and Clyde, and she's Bonnie.
Yikes. All right, stay tuned. More Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KFSL
I don't like
Sports
Greg
Zone.
Kinnear.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
No crazy soundbite slips past these guys.
I came here for the same reason people go to the zoo.
This is another edition of the Audio Vault with Jake and Ben. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're going to be hanging out and about, Ben, at 511 Tactical. Don't just show up to Supercross, be part of the weekend. 511 is hosting a free event with custom Jeeps, a great crowd, and more. Coming up this Friday from 2 to 6. We're going to be there at the Salt Lake store, 369 West, 1830 South, hanging out with the good folks at 511 Tactical. Ben, it's time for the Audio Vault, the best sound of the day. Do we know where this happened?
Philadelphia,
PA. Mm-hmm. There was a traffic accident.
Well, it's a much bigger story than that, actually. Do we want to paint the picture of the background story?
Go ahead.
A man stole a truck in Philadelphia and was on the run from police and ran a red light and hit another car and actually crashed through the fence at like a daycare, like a school, a daycare. He ended up breaking through there, and they ended up pulling out the guy, and he got caught, and he's obviously going to prison. But yeah, this happened yesterday. This was a big story. Scary.
Wow. So they interview a witness, and it's funny that the visual of this is funny because he's just eating an ice cream cone.
He's a character, and he's got his little what do they call those hats? I mean, it's like a crossing guard hat. Almost looks like the old police hat, and it's tilted sideways, so it's not wearing it a normal way. And he is going to town on what looks like a strawberry ice cream cone. Whatever
soft
reason.
serve.
Soft serve. Chocolate? Okay. He is eating this whole thing on camera during this interview as if he's never seen the news before and wouldn't be like, let me just put this aside. Now he also mentions, and you hear here, it's a hot day, so he probably just wanted a little ice cream to feel a little better.
All right, so let's play.
I'm the crossing guard on 55th and King Session. When I tell you, he ran the light, T-boned the lady, I'm bobbing and weaving. I'm just thankful to be alive right now. Thank you, Jesus.
What did it sound like?
Bam! No, not to be funny. I swear, not to be funny. It happened that fast, and luckily, I'm alive.
How, do you know what time of day
I had
kids
to pull
are playing out there?
They was out there. They were in there. I had to pull a kid out. No, I had to pull, what's the name, nephew out.
So there were kids in there?
Yes.
So describe this for me. You hear the bang.
Bang. I don't know which way to go because he ends up in the schoolyard. Luckily, I wasn't on the corner. I'm in the shade slightly because it's an 82-degree day today.
And then what?
Crazy. I'm just thankful to be alive.
So you see this car on its side. Kids are screaming. What's going on?
I run Sheeple. Then I grab a kid out because he's stuck franticing. Pull him out. Ain't nobody in there. Guys in there. He's trapped in there. Then I run out, get myself together because my heart is boom, 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 boom.
No doubt.
Pulled him up out of there.
How was the kid?
He was shaking up, but I pulled him up out of there.
Was he like under a piece of playground equipment? Or
yeah, right up under there.
Wow.
No, I'm being honest.
No, I believe you. So tell me about this car. Did you see what happened to her?
Do a 360. I didn't know which way to go. Luckily I wasn't right there on the corner. I would have been trapped in the madness if you zoom in. I'm being honest.
What's going through your head, man?
Thank you, Jesus. That's what's going through my mind. Thank you, Jesus.
All right, man.
Being honest. Thank you, Mr. Softy.
He thanks Mr. Softy in the end. And you can hear it at the end.
Mr. Softy.
I'm telling you, he's going to town on this ice cream cone. He does not stop eating it.
It's a hot day.
It's hot.
83.
They have some humidity, which is a little different, but
yeah, that stuff melts fast. You ever try to eat an ice cream cone in the humid weather?
Until after the interview.
It's hot. That guy was amazing. You know, that was remember when that one dude was telling the story of that loud noise coming crash into his house or whatever? I don't know if you remember that. But anyway, my point is that some people are just gifted storytellers.
Yeah.
That guy's a gifted storyteller.
A hero, saved a kid after he got pinned under whatever, if that's what happened. But a Crossing guard. We see the crossing guards outside of our kids' school every day. And wave to them, and they appreciate what they do. And then sometimes you really do have big responsibilities. So shout out to Mr. Softy.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
Hope he gets all the ice cream in the world.
Don't steal cars.
Don't crash into playgrounds, more importantly than anything. But yeah, also don't steal cars.
Buy cars.
You got to buy a car. I'm excited for you. I'll get you an ice cream. You like soft serve?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even that big into sweets, but I wouldn't say no to some soft serve.
Okay.
I just
Christian,
like the
soft serve?
vanilla.
Not my first choice.
I prefer soft serve over a scoop myself.
Christian doesn't like soft serve ice cream?
That's not what I said.
We did, an hour ago, we did psychopath or what, and we got interrupted.
Well, we didn't even get to that payoff. We're going to have to get to that.
Because Dianna Russini got a boat, but we got to get psychopath or what?
I'd take a scoop over soft serve.
Really? That's weird.
No, I'd go soft serve.
Yeah.
Update to the boat story. Not only pregnant, 7 months pregnant.
Oh, showing.
Well, yeah, do the math.
Not
it was in
just showing.
June. It was in June, and then it said later that summer.
7 months pregnant that's not like just entered the second trimester and you can barely see it.
You know what it is it's true love.
He really likes her.
Oh, no, the other way around. Was your wife getting on a boat 7 months pregnant?
No.
No.
I'm not Mike Vrabel, but maybe she would for Mike Vrabel. I don't know.
Well, yeah, clearly she would. She loves Mike because she's dealing with the nausea and the heartburn already. And she's like, yeah, I got to see you, Mike.
Let's get on a boat.
If a boat is our only option, let's get on a boat.
2-3 hour boat tour.
Anyways, shout out to the crossing guards.
All right, stay tuned. Live at 5 coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's the best station, period.
Let's be honest. These guys have the best job on the planet.
You come to work in a frickin' bathrobe?
So if you're out there working hard, you should also expect your radio hosts to put in an honest day's work. So of course, Jake and Ben are live at 5 with the biggest headlines and the best analysis in Utah. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time for Live at 5, brought to you by our friends at Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 1-855-TRAJAN-1, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Ben, the biggest story of the day today. Of course, the NBA playoffs. Quick tease, biggest story tomorrow might be the Bear tourney appearing right here on this show.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. But today, Ben, the playoffs, not only games tonight, but games last night. We've talked a lot already today about Donovan Mitchell and his shortcomings against the Pistons. Cavs dropped game one of that series in Detroit, 111-101 last night. How much of a chance do you give the Cavs in this series?
I'd still say it's probably 70-30. For the Pistons, had the Cavs won the first game, I would have said maybe 60-40 for the Cavs. So, the
that big of a swing based on game one?
You don't play that many games is the truth. I know. It's just the control of the series changes really rapidly. And if I think you had ignited a spark under the Cavaliers and kind of put the Pistons behind the eight ball once again, where they're always fighting uphill, I think they said yesterday night on the game, this is the first time other than in a closeout game, which, happened in Game 7 against the Magic, so the series is technically over. This is the first time the Pistons have had a series lead in the playoffs since 2008. It was 18 years ago since they last had a playoff series lead. Now, they don't make the playoffs every year.
How many times did they make the playoffs in that span?
But regardless, they're never playing from ahead. So this was why I think it does give them a real advantage. A, they're just the better team. And B, now they have an advantage, and Cleveland's going to have to try and make it up, and I don't have a lot of faith in them there. And then, as we talked about before the Rudy Gobert, Nikola Jokic matchup, what would that matchup do for Rudy's legacy? And I thought maybe if the Timberwolves had lost that series, we might be starting to, put Rudy out to pasture. And he's kind of revitalized himself, and now he's being talked about as, one of the better centers still remaining in the NBA. I'll be curious what Donovan Mitchell's legacy is if the Cavaliers lose this, because their championship window is rapidly closing because you get more expensive every year. Players get a little bit worse. James Harden's not getting better. They're making trades to try and keep the boat afloat. Different one than Dianna Russini, and it's not getting better. It's not improving. So I think this is going to continue to hurt his legacy if they lose this series.
Yeah, because
obviously
they're going to trade him.
There's a chance they do.
I mean, we saw the reports come out before the end of the regular season that they would consider trading him. I think that is very real.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Cleveland eventually does a whole reboot or they just try to reshuffle some things, but I would believe that because I think the potential of the Cavs has capped out, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't think this team is going to get better than they are this year. I don't know how good they're going to be. Again, I said 70-30, I think, in favor of the Pistons. 30% still a very realistic chance to win a series, and you're always one injury away from this thing really swinging in the Cavaliers' favor, and because I think the Pistons are particularly vulnerable to losing any one piece that would really change this series, whether that's Tobias Harris. You really hope it's not Cade Cunningham. Jalen Duren, who you've talked about and how impactful he is, even Asar Thompson. You lose any of those guys for a couple of games, and I think the Cavs can win this series, so you've got to be careful there. But if this remains, the rosters and they're healthy, I think the Pistons win, and I think the Cavaliers go into the offseason wondering, is it over? That's a scary spot to be in.
The other game last night, the Thunder beat the Lakers 108-90, and it really felt like the Thunder were just playing with their food. I mean, Shea only took 15 shots last night.
And J-Dub didn't play. So, yeah, I mean, they just went in casually, and they were up 9 most of the game. It got down to 6 a couple of times. And then midway through the third, they just absolutely flipped the switch and just decided, okay, we're clamping down. Austin Reeves isn't going to be able to get the ball across half court. If Rui Hachimura can beat us, I guess he'll have to. And LeBron's not going to do it. AR's not going to do it. Jake LaRavia is probably not going to do it. So we'll just get a bunch of turnovers and go get layups and be fine.
Not LaRavia?
And that's exactly what happened. And then by the time you tuned back in, it was a 20-point game if you were just kind of casually watching. So, no, it was a lousy game. It's going to be a lousy series. And I think this is what it's going to look like throughout. And I think it would have probably with or without Luka.
Well, I not according to LeBron. But if Luka were tougher, he'd be playing and they'd be in this series.
That's at least according to Ric Flair. Let me see if I can pull up the
By the
Nature Boys tweet.
Speaking of live at 5, literally the Knicks and the Pacers just tipped off. That just happened.
Yeah.
Game number 2 here. New York with a 1-0 lead in the series over Philadelphia. No Joel Embiid tonight for the Sixers. And I think they just had Paul George do the tip.
It's a bad sign.
They don't think Drummond can jump?
Here's Ric Flair's tweet. Luka, at Luka Doncic, please get in the game. Take a shot of cortisone and deal with the pain. They're paying you $50 million a year and you're not there. WTF, I hope Jeannie Buss trades you next year. Nobody wants a lame duck on their team. So Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, coming out hot as always. Really mad at Luka.
But he does have some credibility there.
Of taking injections to get on the mat?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that dude
probably done that a lot.
Lived with the needle in his arm as a professional wrestler.
And he's 106. So, I mean, how bad could it be? Toughen up, Luka. Ric Flair just called you out, bro.
You know what? We talk so much about LeBron's perspective on this, almost exclusively, is the truth since this trade went down. And that was such a crazy story. And whether or not Clutch wanted it and how they had to hide it from LeBron and all these different things to get this deal. What do you think Luka's view is on all of this? I think there's a way to read this also where Luka, while I fully believe he has a hamstring injury, we saw how frustrated he was when it happened. Whatever his approach is to getting back on the floor here, whether you think it's full bore or not, don't you think there's probably a real chapter in Luka's world where he's just saying, all right, let's get this chapter wrapped up with LeBron so we can start the Luka Lakers and it can just be my team and we can move forward? Because whatever we're doing now is ridiculous, and LeBron making $50 million, as beloved as LeBron is not conducive to winning a championship.
Probably. I'm sure that LeBron is obnoxious in the locker room as he is not in the locker room. So sure, you could talk me into that. However, don't you get the impression that Luka really doesn't care about anything?
Yeah, that's also maybe
He doesn't care about being in shape, doesn't care about being a good teammate, doesn't care where he's playing. I mean, even you now see the stories. You still see the stories where he would rather be playing in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. He's kind of the not care player. I don't know what he cares about. He didn't fly to Serbia to see his newborn son. He flew to Madrid.
He might be the John Daly of NBA players.
Okay.
More natural talent than maybe anybody else in the league. I mean, Luka's natural talent is absurd.
Offensive talent, sure.
Huge. He could play defense if he wanted to. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to try.
Kind of fat.
Sure, get in shape and play. You're bigger and stronger than everybody, and you're so smart. You could cut off every angle. You would know where to be if you wanted to. I don't think he cares.
Well, vodka has calories, Ben.
Sure.
We can't ask.
But again, to the point of just like natural skill, I'm not sure there is anybody better than Luka in the NBA. Honestly, he can be an absolute dynamite shooter, unreal passing, reads the game as well as anybody in the league, scores at the rim, whatever he wants to do. He doesn't try that hard. And that was John Daly. You know, everyone just said John's maybe the most naturally skilled golfer on the planet. But because of that, he didn't have to work that hard. And had he had to work as hard as Tiger or some of these other guys, he could have been in the conversation as the greatest of all time. And I wonder if, honestly, Luka, the game has come so easy to him since he was probably 12 or 13 years old. He just never developed that how do I work hard muscle.
On a similar note, Ben, and I don't if you haven't seen this, don't look it up, okay? The Athletic has released or has done their NBA player survey, and they've released the list of the league's most overrated players based on 81 NBA player votes.
Okay.
Have you seen this yet?
I have not seen the results.
Oh, good,
I know
good,
this
good.
came out. I saw the tweet.
All right. Who do you think is number one? With 12.3% of the vote.
Rudy always wins this, but I don't think Rudy matters enough to win this now. But he always gets votes. Most overrated player in the
I'll give you a
NBA.
hint. Rudy's 2. Tied for a second.
Poor Rudy.
At 8.6%.
Overrated players. I honestly don't know. Paolo?
I'll give you a hint. Kevin Durant really agrees with this.
Oh, well, it can't be Jabari Smith because he doesn't matter enough, which means it has to be Alperen Şengün.
Bingo. 12-point Şengün with 12.3%.
Well, good to know Kevin voted in the anonymous poll.
Followed by Rudy at 8.6%, but Rudy is tied with somebody.
Okay, who's he tied with?
A guard.
Not Donovan?
Not
that
Donovan.
That would have been really funny.
Not Donovan.
Who is it?
A guard who was just traded.
And not Luka.
Traded midseason.
James Harden?
Trae Young.
Trae Young. Oh, yeah. Well, that's totally fair.
Karl Anthony Towns is next at 7.4%. You mentioned Paolo. He's tied with Ja Morant at 4.9%. There are 4 players tied at 3.7%, Ben. Denny Avdia, Scotty Barnes, Luka Doncic, and Pascal Siakam. And then 6 players with 2.5%, which means what? They just got 1 vote?
Yeah, probably.
Dylan Brooks, Tyrese Halliburton, Tyler Hero, Evan Mobley, Brandon Pajemski, and Domantas Sabonis.
I think Cody Williams got a vote. I think that was one thing I did see.
He's not on this list.
You know who voted for him? Absolutely his brother. That's absolutely a funny thing
like
to have
joke.
an absolute joke on your brother, right? That comes out and Cody says, who voted for me? And his brother sends him the article. That absolutely has to be what happened. Because who else thinks Cody Williams? No one thinks about Cody Williams.
Yeah, nobody's going to put him on
No one's going to
there.
say he's overrated. He's not rated.
Right.
How do you be overrated if you're not rated? No, that's very funny. Yeah, Alperen Şengün's got to put up or shut up. You know, they had a really bad first-round series, and he was getting kind of anointed as one of the great players in the league. Not top 5, but one of the better players in the NBA, certainly amongst the young guys. So that'll be interesting to see, I guess, how that bears out. Poor Rudy continues to, I think, somehow be underrated, maybe because he's on that list.
Players don't like him because he gets paid and doesn't play offense.
He's not a skilled player. Yeah, he's not a high-skilled player. He's a high-impact player.
Because most players have the mentality that Jabari Parker had, where I don't get paid to play defense.
Mm-hmm.
And Rudy does get paid to play defense, and other players resent it. I'm surprised on the Şengün one, though, because unlike Rudy, Şengün is super skilled.
Yeah, right.
But maybe not skilled in the places where normal NBA players value. He's not a great outside shooter.
Yeah, there also could be some European stuff here. Turkey, Europe?
Turkey is Europe and Asia, technically.
Okay. But there could be some bias against foreign players.
What about Denny Avdia?
Yeah.
Thank you. On there. I thought he was pretty universally celebrated this year.
And underrated.
Yeah.
Still probably a little underrated. So, no, I think that's a bad choice. Again, I will tell you, look, players know a lot, and they know more about basketball than I do. And if you ever actually hear basketball players break down like game plans, you'll be like, oh, they know so much more than I will ever know. It's their life. They run through practice all day and all the lingo and all the different strategies, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think they're always great at diagnosing who the best basketball player is or most underrated.
Did you see that hard foul that Karl Anthony Towns just took?
I did.
That's the last time he's going to the basketball game.
Kelly Oubre just took him out.
Got a flagrant, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was after he elbowed your guy in the throat. Who's the center for the Sixers?
Drummond?
Drummond. He elbowed Drummond in the throat.
How dare he?
Mm-hmm.
There should be payback.
On the same drive.
Karl Anthony Towns has a little tear in his eye.
I don't know. I just know he has a big head.
Speaking of Kelly Oubre.
That was Kelly Oubre talking about Jalen Brunson and why he's hard to guard.
Do we think he actually meant physically? Because Jalen Brunson has an absolute dome piece. He has a huge head.
Can we play the entire clip, Christian? Because he's saying the way that he waves his head around draws a lot of calls. So he uses his head to his advantage.
Makes sense.
He flops that head around there and makes him tough to guard.
You don't get a lot of charges called for not a headbutt, but the swipe through with your head is a really good way to clear space. And I believe that with Jalen Brunson. He's got a big head. He puts it down. Who you know else? Huge head? Isaiah Collier. He could get better at that.
He's got a huge head.
Huge head. He's got just exaggerated features in general.
How much do you think that noggin weighs?
Oof. 22 pounds.
I was going to say like 36.
That's pretty light.
22's light?
Really? Google that, Ben. How much is the average?
Psychopath?
Why do you
know what a head weighs?
Yeah, that's a good point. Christian's like...
The average adult human head weighs 10 to 12 pounds.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Christian?
I don't know.
Who are you decapitating?
I work with Jake Scott, you know.
Different type of big head.
I have a big head? No, I bet Jalen Brunson's legit weighs 20 pounds. I'm with you there.
Big brain.
Big skull?
Big skull.
Big skull. All right, we teased this and we got bumped by breaking Dianna Russini news, but I do actually think we can scrape a productive college sports conversation out of our exercise. Sociopath or truth teller.
Okay. Spurs also in action tonight after this game.
We can get to that coming up next. Yeah, about to go 0-2. Take that, Ben.
That would be great.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Chase Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Right now, the Sixers have a 3-point lead over the Knicks, 17-14.
They are really hammering Karl Anthony Towns every chance they get.
Well, that's what you do when you play Andre Drummond.
Just absolutely hammer.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah, hammer the opposing team's star, one of their stars.
He's like Jalen Duren, but fat and clumsy.
Slow-footed.
So you know what you do? You go out and hammer Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, there you go. So playoff action already underway in New York with the Knicks with a 1-0 series lead. You mentioned the T-Wolves and the Spurs. That game starts at 7:30. All right, Ben, the new... system, condition of college sports, of course, is always a big topic on the show because college sports are a big topic here in this market. And actually, I think Utah is a pretty interesting petri dish on different levels of programs with different resources and how to implement those. I mean, not only BYU and Utah, but Utah State and even going down to Christian's T-Birds and Weaver State and all of that. We love our college sports around here, and they're very well supported, some better than others. Indiana wins the national title last year.
Yeah.
They got a big quarterback recruit, if you had not heard, who's now currently a Raider.
Mendoza.
And he came from...
Cal.
He came from Cal. So Mark Cuban and we'll play his comments here. He tells the story, and here's the exercise. Is Mark Cuban making this about him and taking credit, or is he a truth teller? I'm curious to your thoughts. All right, play it.
Before, when we were losing and I was in the suite with the AD, Scott Dulce, it all started really at the Notre Dame playoff game the year before when we were losing and I was in the suite with the AD, Scott Dolson, and Pam went and we sucked, right? We were getting blown out from the beginning. First thing I said to Scott was, well, at least this year you're not having to look for another football coach, because that was kind of a time-honored tradition at Indiana, always looking for a football coach. And so he's like, yeah, that's the positive. And then we started talking and he's like, we've got this quarterback that we really, really like, that we think would be great. Just need a little bit more. I'm like, how much is a little bit? And so he told me, and I'm like, okay, we're on a roll. I'll put up the money to get this quarterback. I knew Fernando's brother, who already was on the team because he was a Heat fan and he would sit behind the Miami bench. And when I would come to go to Mavs Heat games, he was like, oh yeah, I go to IU and da-da-da-da-da. So we met. And so I'm like, okay, I'll put up the money and we can go get Fernando. And the rest is history.
How much did they need?
They needed enough.
Mark Cuban won a national championship.
Mark Cuban was the starting quarterback
basically
for the Hoosiers in their national title run.
They never would have even sniffed it had Mark Cuban not stepped in. So I guess, I kind of joked about the, making it about him, a sociopath thing. And I do think Mark doesn't hate the attention.
Correct.
But is it more just the reality? Like, you have to have a Mark Cuban to put you over the line. And by the way, I love it that Mark Cuban didn't give a dang dime to the Indiana football program until they made it to the playoff 2 years ago.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny.
That's where I would start. Is first of all, he said we sucked. Those are his words, not mine. In the same sentence, he said we were in the college football playoff going up against Notre Dame. Well, you weren't that bad.
Right.
Indiana was not that bad. That's why Curt Cignetti was the hot coach all of last offseason.
I think he was saying in defense of Mark that they sucked in that game.
In that game specifically.
Which they did.
But to your point, he was not the big investor until they were already winning. So this isn't like Mark has said, I see the vision here at Indiana football, because nobody did. And I think we can become a national champion. Now they have gotten there. Yes, he waited until they were at the end and gave them some money. Now, we have heard rumors about how much money they were spending, and Curt Cignetti has said it wasn't even close to the $30 million or whatever the rumor was that was floating around. But the way you got to that, because a lot of people said, how would Indiana ever have that much money? And you've mentioned this a few times, Jake, is that they have the biggest graduation base in all of any college in the university or in
something like
in
that
the country.
I'd have to look up the stat, but it's at very least in the Midwest.
Their alumni base is enormous.
That is huge.
So no, they didn't need Mark Cuban, because I don't have the AD or whoever he is here is talking about, the school president that said, we've got this guy we really like, Scott Dolson, that we just need to go get this quarterback. We think we can be good. If Mark had said no, I fully suspect they would have gone to somebody else who would have said yes. Because apparently the rumor is, and I know Mark didn't say it there, Fernando Mendoza was getting $1.6 million at Cal, and they bumped it up to 2.6 to go to Indiana, which is not $8 million. And it's a lot, don't get me wrong, but I suspect Mark Cuban's not the only Indiana grad that can afford a $2.6 million check.
But that is the difference between Indiana going to the playoffs and Indiana being national champions. And the reason I think this is particularly interesting is because Indiana isn't a traditional power. So I think everybody is looking at the Hoosiers, including the Utes and the Cougs, and going, is it simply the alumni base? Is it simply that they hired the right football coach who knew what players to bring in and matching the price tag to the player? Like if you could make a criticism of BYU basketball in their current spending spree, they've spent some big dough on some wrong players.
Yes.
Who was the guy 2 years ago that was the big deal who came in with Yegor and barely played?
Boscovich?
No. Mm-mm.
I honestly can't remember.
I shouldn't bring up. But anyway.
Long enough now, to the point where he doesn't even matter.
Exactly. Yeah. And he was a big-time recruit coming out of high school.
Staten. $1 million to go to BYU. Never played last year at BYU. That's the rumor, $1 million.
So, I mean, I think Indiana's interesting because we all get caught up on the total price tag, right? If Kyle Whittingham's spending $50 million on the Michigan roster, do they automatically win the national championship? Not necessarily. There's still some nuance to it. But what is it that Indiana is doing now that puts them into the stratosphere with the elites? Because we all are, I shouldn't speak for you, I certainly assumed that as these budgets grew, the superpowers would only get stronger. Well, Indiana has never been a superpower. They're in a super league, but they've been in the Big Ten since, I don't know, the early 1900s. I don't know. When did the Big Ten form? I'm guessing that Indiana was an original member.
Yeah, I would imagine.
That they've never been good.
Correct.
So I don't know. I think it's a little more subtle than they spent the most money, because I don't think they did, but they didn't spend the least either, because we're talking about the alumni base. So is the secret sauce the coach, and they just simply paid the right players?
But it's Kenan Catchings, by the way, is the name.
Kenan Catchings is exactly who I'm talking about. Thank you very much. You got to spend the dough on the right dudes, right? And if Indiana's done anything, they brought all those guys with Signetti from in North Carolina. Why am I going blank?
Yeah, the small school.
Yeah.
Here's where I get really skeptical about all of it, and where I wouldn't trust a coach as far as I could throw him. Is that why wouldn't the coach say, yeah, spend more money? What does he care?
Right. That's true.
So like here's the flaw. Give me a random head coach. I'm just not going to throw Kalani or Morgan under the bus, but whatever.
Troy Taylor.
Troy Taylor goes to Stanford. Great example. No longer there, but yes, goes to Stanford and says, Andrew Luck, I need $2.6 million for the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get this guy, I think that's going to be a big difference for us. Fine, great. I'm not saying give it to him at all. I'm just saying, like, why would he not say that? Why would he not lie about it? What does it hurt him? Are you going to get fired because you got too much money in donations and didn't achieve? Potentially. But also, if you're a coach, you're going to get fired if you don't win. So if you feel like you need the guy to win, even if the guy doesn't work out, you were probably in a spot where your job was going to be on the line anyways, because head coaching jobs always are. Yeah, you just might as well go out if you're a head coach and say, I need this money. This is where the money's going to be spent, and I think this is going to be the difference for our team. I just would never trust what they have to say or who they're believing in. Now, good coaches can prove that they know how to win with the right guys. And Curt Cignetti has proven that he could win with Fernando Mendoza, and they just went and got the kid from TCU, Hoover.
Uh-huh.
So maybe he replicates it and you say, okay, this is a real quarterback whisperer and he knows how to win, and that's an A+ thing. But a coach is always going to say they need more money for more players. I'm not sure that's kind of indicative of a coach having success or being a good coach. And to get back to, I guess, where we started here with Mark Cuban, she's like, you got to be careful about where you're giving money and who you're giving money to, because they're all going to tell you they want more. And if you're asking, which is why I got to this point of, is that the difference between, a championship team or not? I would say the answer is no, actually. The right player absolutely is. But just giving a quarterback, obviously $2.6 million doesn't guarantee you anything.
No, it does not. And maybe that brings us to what our friend Adam Rittenberg, who jumped on with us in the 4 o'clock hour of ESPN, said, that maybe player retention is way more important place to spend your money than going out and hitting the transfer portal.
Yeah. And you know what? When he was talking, before we even got to ask him about that, I was wondering the same thing.
Because, the big feather in Utah's cap, for example, is keeping the 2 quarterbacks and the running back.
Yeah.
Does that player retention get them to a conference title? Because, and this is where you were talking, kind of reminded me, but those players are good. Or at very least, what they're good at.
Yeah.
And you believe, I imagine if you're Morgan Scalley, you believe you're able to win with them. Retaining Bear Bachmeier for BYU was probably worth every penny, because he can get you to the Big 12 title game. He was good enough to do that as a true dang freshman.
Yeah.
You got to hang on to that dude. And if you're, I don't want to pick on Utah State, but if the Bear was at Utah State, the Bear would be at a different program, right?
Uh-huh.
So how do you hang on to those guys? Kalani has said that the Bear has taken offers from all over the place.
Yeah.
So what do you do? How do you spend the money to retain the players that are going to get it done? Look at the myriad, this is even pre-NIL, of transfer quarterbacks Utah tried to land under Andy Ludwig that were just a disaster. Everybody thought Jake Bentley was going to be good. Starter at South Carolina, all this. Who was, BYU brings in Keaton Slovis.
Yeah.
Top-ranked quarterback of the transfer portal, Ben.
Yep.
Had a dynamic freshman season at USC, kind of. Did a whole lot of nothing.
You and I are quite skeptical of 24/7 rankings on 3 or whatever all the different ranking companies are. And I've adopted your perspective on that, certainly. You know, you go back here and you look at the transfer portal rankings from 2025, because this was another question I asked Adam Rittenberg, which was, you know, where did Indiana rank last year in their offseason rankings? Did they have a good offseason or not? And he couldn't remember, which means they weren't near the top. And that's not a knock on Adam. I couldn't find the story from last season. But if you go to 24/7, they said Indiana had the 25th best transfer portal class.
Yeah.
Did they?
I think they had the best because they landed the number 1 pick in the draft.
And they got a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
And then they went undefeated. So they did something right. So, yeah, along your lines where I do agree with you and where maybe I still am not willing to depart from my past of Utah getting Kendall Thompson or BYU.
Oh, Kendall Thompson, a good one.
BYU getting Keaton Slovis. These quarterbacks or any player that was supposed to step in and change the outcome of the team that season, I'm still just a little hit or miss on a lot of these transfers. I just still feel like, you know, if they were exactly the right player, and look, there are still great players who leave in the transfer portal, obviously, but if they were so good, their original team usually would have fought like hell to keep them. And they likely prioritize spending the money somewhere else. Not always.
Unless they're from San Jose State.
Sure, yeah, exactly right. Or Utah State or Weber State. Or
apparently even Cal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Weber State would have loved to have kept Jack Kelly. It wasn't going to work out for them.
You'd think.
They didn't have that opportunity.
This is just a wild world of college sports. I guess in all honesty, like most things, the most innovative strategies are going to be the ones that are going to win.
Yeah,
and maybe that's where Signetti and Indiana come in. They had the secret sauce, so to speak.
Yeah, and the problem is with innovation, you can't predict it. You can try and create something, and if it doesn't work, it's not labeled as innovation. It's labeled as stupidity. And if you're trying to just mimic what the last guy did, if you're trying now to replicate what Indiana did, well, someone's going to be more innovative and move the step forward. It's just a moving goalpost. And I think that's where creativity probably really does start to factor in.
Your guy, Jordan Clarkson's in.
How's he doing?
I don't know. I think he just got in. It'll be interesting to see if he fist fights Brunson for the ball, though.
Okay. I did like that Jordan was always willing to fight opposing teams. I'm not sure I ever saw him fight his own teammates, but maybe. Yeah, it's a lot of shots.
Dude, Jordan Clarkson putting up his dukes was never trying to fight somebody.
No, of course not.
No,
but I don't remember anyone else putting up their dukes.
Nobody. He did that to be funny, which I really appreciate, honestly.
Jordan was funny?
Anybody who can be funny in that type of circumstances really got an admirable sense of humor, in my opinion. But no, at no point when Jordan put up the
real old fisticuffs, yeah. The bare knuckle. Was he going to go for it?
Never. Stay tuned. More Jacob Ed coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Just doing it big, you know.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Niggas on the airways, talking sports. They got him Matrix and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Hey there, Jake and Ben. This is Ed from Ogden. And it looks like little Dr. Wacky Zacky has thrown down the gauntlet. So, picture this. It's halftime. The Hawks are down. Quinn comes barreling into the locker room and says this Jack Sparrow quote. Now, as long as you're just hanging there, pay attention. The only rules that really matter are these. What a man can do, and what a man can't do. And that is why I hold a master's in make-believe, and you just have a little medical degree. Ball's in your court, Wacky Zacky.
Hi, Em.
Shout out, Em.
Good to hear from you, Em.
What line delivery.
Amazing.
My goodness.
Well, didn't Wacky
Zacky,
said that Eb was an actor.
Yeah.
So I thought Eb did a pretty good job there. Not to mention he's hilarious.
Don't read his last name because we're not trying to out him, but...
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, rad. Oh, that's super cool.
We found you, Eb.
Shout out to Eb.
Shout out, Eb.
Shout out to Eb. But that was
Great
very
job.
good. Yeah. And by the way, encourage everybody. Rule number 3 of the Jake and Ben show. If you have something to say, call in. We love the call-in feature on the KSL Sports app. We love to hear from you. We usually play some of the best in this particular segment. So make sure and keep those coming. We have another one from yesterday.
Yeah, I had to get to the sibling rivalry,
okay,
right? Because that is very important.
It's now an ongoing bit. Congratulations to Zach and Eb. You're now part of the show.
Yeah.
We had Nathan call in yesterday, too, because the NHL draft lottery was happening during the end of the show, and Nathan called in with some thoughts, so this is what he had to say.
This is for Jake and Ben. This is Nathan. The NHL just held their draft lottery, and they hold it live on TV. This is the second year they've done it in a row. What do you think about the NBA doing it? I think it would be a great idea, provide better entertainment than just having people sit up there and the picks being read off. I think seeing the lottery done live would be much better entertainment, and honestly, I think it helps with the calls that it was rigged. Am I right or wrong? What do you think?
Nathan, thank you for the call in. Well done. Yeah, it is harder for them to rig, so they're going to keep that thing behind closed doors, 100%.
Nathan, you're right and wrong, actually. The current format is not conducive to TV. So I don't know if people know this. I think we've talked about this on the show. I've never been in the lottery room. Sarah Todd has. Andy Larson has. I've talked to them about what the actual lottery room looks like. Sarah was there for the Victor Wembanyama draft.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs won the top pick 4 times in a row. So they draft at the top. You know, they don't start at 14. They start at 1 and go up. So that's a little bit different. That's why the NBA likes this reveal. But the Spurs won the number 1 pick. And they say, okay, now the next lottery for the number 2 pick. And the Spurs won again. They said, okay, they had to keep drawing over and over to get the second pick, and the Spurs won 4 times in a row.
So it was extra rigged.
So it was extra rigged to get Victor Wembanyama. But that's not good TV, so nobody wants to watch it. So the problem, where you're right, Nathan, is yes, it can be conducive to good TV, like the NHL. However, their current format is not.
Mm-hmm.
And next year, when they move to this proposal, which they're going to vote on in 3 weeks from tomorrow, of the 3-2-1 format, which just includes 37 lottery balls, if I've done my math correctly, that will be more exciting. And I bet you it does go on TV.
Nah.
Hard to rig.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
No, I thought Tim Lacombe made a good point. You know, if David Copperfield can make a building disappear,
they can rig a lottery?
The NBA can rig a lottery on television.
Yep, they can.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up in the 6 o'clock hour right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, wow, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up a Jake and Ben show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Man, has it been action-packed today. Ben talking a lot of basketball. We had breaking Dianna Russini news.
The boat. Man, anytime a boat gets involved.
2 to 3 hours, Ben. And she was 7 months pregnant.
I don't know if I've ever heard of anything good happening on a boat. And by the way, boats are having a big moment right now. You've got hantavirus on one, and you've got 7-month pregnant Dianna Russini and Vrabel on another.
Dude, that hantavirus, it's off the boat. That's the scary part.
So's Dianna Russini.
No, we don't technically know where she is.
Okay.
I'm telling you, we haven't heard a word from her. She's going to do a big interview.
Okay.
I almost guarantee it. It's the only thing she could do to even remotely save her career/reputation.
Should she trade the interview for a job?
Like with Good Morning America?
Wherever I'm going to give the interview is also where I'm starting my comeback tour in my new gig. Because people will tune in to see Dianna Russini. We do love a comeback story in this country.
Mm-hmm. So this could actually be good for her career?
No,
you're arguing?
Absolutely not. Not even a little bit. But
I'll tell you this. She'll come back at Good Morning America or something like that before she does in the sports insider business. I think she's done there.
Yes, but clearly like a talented media member. She can stand in front of a camera. She can talk. She can compile stories. You got to check her source development skills, but she is an on-camera person. a talent, as they say.
No, her days of breaking news are done.
Okay.
I mean, even like political news or something.
Correct.
Everybody's going to be like,
Yeah.
how'd you get
no,
that?
you got to be at the
How'd
desk.
you get that story,
You got to be
Dianna?
at the desk
Yeah.
asking other people what's going on.
She's now just a talking face, if she expects to be in the media at all. But maybe Oprah?
Or boat salesman. Oprah, is it still doing a thing?
I don't know. I just know,
Where is Oprah?
didn't A-Rod run to Oprah? Didn't what's his name?
Armstrong?
Lance Armstrong. Didn't he run to Oprah? I know your favorites, Harry and Meghan,
Yes, they did.
went to Oprah.
Yeah, and you can do a special with Oprah. Do you think Dianna is Oprah worthy?
She's like the biggest story in the country for
She
the
is.
last 2 or 3 weeks.
You're right. Oprah loves a good story. Okay.
Maybe she'll close down all of her Hawaiian Island just for the interview.
Christian, you get her. Get her on our show. We do a big show. Get Dianna on.
Can we tease that for tomorrow?
Maybe. We'll
Maybe.
have Dianna Russini on.
Right here. Fingers crossed. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow on the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5,
Christian.
the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep. If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.